This is where the fun begins.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cantina Social Hour, first episode of 2025. Welcome, 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 everybody. It is great to be here. It is great to see you all in the chat. All my Cantinians hanging out here, doing fun stuff. What's good, you guys? It's genuinely welcome to the Cantina. Welcome to 2025 and a whole new year of VC and Cantina Social Hour. How are you guys doing? Thank you for being here. I am very, 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 very excited to get the show going again. It's been about a month since we were last on. Took a bit of a break for the holiday season, and it was all worth it. I think I kind of needed that to recharge, re-energize, and reboot the show, I suppose. So yeah, it's good to be here, you guys. And yeah, I went back to work this week. I have black hair now, obviously. It was my birthday this week. I had a kind of a big birthday this week, actually. And I'll talk about all I did in just a little bit. But yeah, no, it's brand new year, brand new set of years for me. So I just feel reinvigorated. I feel ready to take on the universe or whatever else is out there, is thrown my way by the forces known and unknown. So yeah, all right, let's see who's in the chat, and then we'll talk about tonight's topics, and then I'll introduce tonight's guests, and we will see what is going on. Before we do that, just a housekeeping item here. Entertainment Earth has a bunch of things in stock currently. If you use promo code Victoria, you get yourself another 10% off your total. With the price of things these days, any little bit helps. So take advantage of that promo code. If it's in stock, get yourself another 10% off with promo code Victoria. And yeah, the latest wave of TVC, right? We need to use those discounts, or Black Series, whatever your preference is. We don't judge your preference because we like all kinds of things here too. Anyhow, let's take a look here and see what's going on. So here in the chat, we have the one and only, always the first one here. I love it. Dodgson, how's it going? How are you doing? Thank you for being here as always. I'm really delighted to see you this evening. We've got Adam Kennedy. Hey, Adam, how's it going? It is great to see you. It's great to be back. And thank you for moderating as always. Adam is in charge and he's doing his thing. And if he sees any shady activity, he'll let me know about it, and he'll politely escort you off the premises. But we never have that in the canteen. It's very, 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 very rare because you guys are awesome, and we really appreciate you. We appreciate that. Cool. Whom else is in here with us so far? Let's see. We have Britt with us. Hey, Britt. It is good to see you. Thank you for coming on. We have William Rodriguez with us. Hey, William. Good to see you. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Tonight we got Chad Peak Obi-Wan with us. Where are my Cantinians at? It's been a minute. Yes, it has. I've been looking forward to this. Absolutely. As the Count himself would say. We got Nicholas H. with us. Hey, Nick. How you doing? We got David Matthews with us. What's up, David? Trevor's in the house. Hey, Trevor. Good to see you. The horses are off to the races. Did I finally nail that saying, that phrase? Because I never really get it. Blake is with us tonight. Hello, Blake. Good day, everyone. Stoked to be back in the Cantina. We're stoked that you're here. Thank you for being here. Allison is with us. Hey, Allison, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for, TGIF. Absolutely. I went back to work this week, and TGIF indeed. It's hard to get back in that routine of just waking up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not a morning person at all, and it's been hard because when I'm on vacation, I'm on like break. My schedule just gets insane, and I'm up until like 2 in the morning usually because I'm a night owl, and so I'm getting back into the swing of things is what I'm doing. Troy is with us. Hello, Troy. Thank you for joining us. You got my friend Mary Sullivan with us. Hey, Mary, good evening to you. Thanks for being here tonight. 17.28 is back. Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year to you, too. We got Hal Runner Bass. How's it going, Hal Runner Bass? We have the Mandalorian fan channel with us. Welcome. Thank you for your comment on the video the other day or two ago. And thank you guys for the happy birthday wishes. I do appreciate that. Clone Witch, definitely. Am I the Clone Witch? Did what happened with the Clone Witch? I don't know. Maybe there'll be a sequel for the Clone Witch this October. Do you guys want to see a sequel to the Clone Witch? See what happens next? I don't even know what happens next. I have no idea what happens next in that. All I know is that I opened the door and there was nobody there. And then I turned around and the Clone Witch was there. I don't know what happened next. We got to do a part 2 so we can figure out what is next. Bob, how's it going? E is processing my TVC wave that has Sarnboy Luke. Sweet. Can't wait to get that figure. Charlie the Unicorn's with us. Hey, Charlie. Did you watch Skeleton Crew? What are your thoughts? Are you collecting any figures or ships from it? Yeah, we'll talk about Skeleton Crew. That's one of our topics this evening. Thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. Wow, Mary, that is very, very generous of you. Thank you so much for the birthday gift. Wow, I don't know what to say other than that is extremely generous of you and very kind. And I'm honored. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for the super chat. You're awesome, Mary. Let's get you on social hour one of these days, Mary. I think we'd have a good conversation. Let's talk about that maybe on social. But yeah, you're awesome. Thank you for your support here in Victoria's Cantina and for being a regular here in the Cantina for Cantina Social Hour. Really appreciate you. And honestly, very, very sweet, very, very generous. Thank you. July through November is with us. Tell us about the backdrop. Yes, you guys. So I forgot to mention, you may have noticed there's a new setup here. I'm in a different part of my collection room. I have not shown you guys this. This was not in my last collection video last year, from January last year, because it is a new area of the collection. This was like more of like a storage sort of area of the collection, but not anymore. There's a brand new setup here. I do intend to make a video for this area, but I'll give you guys the tour. Why not? You're here for social hour, so you get dibs on all this stuff anyway. So let me move out of your way so you can see. I'll just slide out of the way a little bit here. So yeah, this is my I call it like my nice area, I guess. So it's just stuff that's basically not action figures. The only 3¾ inch scale thing, of course, is the Star Speeder 3000 that we got right there. And then it's a bunch of Disneyland, Galaxy's Edge type stuff. Some of the lightsabers, the holocrons, that base right there for the lightsabers, some of the helmets. Some of these are Black Series, some are Disney from Galaxy's Edge. I think it's called the, what is the name of their collection? I can't remember at the moment. And then, over there is the some action figures, various 6-inch figures. I got at the very top, you can't see her, but I got Catwoman up there, my Julie Newmar statue with my autograph. Below that, I got Universal Monsters. You can't see those, but below that, you can see my Dragon Ball figures. Below that, you can see my X-Men Marvel Legends from the 97 TV show. And then below that, I got a Lightning Collection, Power Rangers Remastered. I don't know. I need to learn how to point. And then, so I got my helmets. And then there's a whole other level on the bottom of these helmets right here with more helmets and lightsabers and random Disney Galaxy's Edge stuff. So I will be doing a full video of it. We got some new lighting set up. I thought it was time to refresh the show a little bit. and just kind of pour some creative energy into it and kind of re-envision things just a little bit. So that's what that is. That's the tour. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really, really, really excited, you guys. I needed this. I needed social hours. I got really sick over the holidays, like really, really sick. Like I got the flu and it hit me so hard. And I was on vacation and I was in Texas. I was with my family and it was just not a good. It was a good time, but like the times I was sick was not good at all. So, and I'm still not like 100%. I'm like maybe like 95%. But there's always that lingering little 5%, that pesky little bit that is hard to overcome. So I really needed this. And yeah, I'm stoked to be here. It's a holiday weekend. We have a huge day on Monday. Very excited for Monday. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And yeah, good stuff. So let's talk about tonight's topics before I introduce our guests for tonight. So we're going to be talking Mattel Jurassic World. We haven't touched that for a while. There is a little bit of news there. We're talking SWTVC March Madness, which is going on right now, very early on, bits of it. We're going to talk Hasbro Star Wars news, Vintage Collection Black Series. We're going to talk Skeleton Crew, and then we're going to end with some Disney Parks talk before we get into new acquisitions. If you guys have anything new you've added to your collections over the last few weeks, you'll be able to tell us in the chat while my guests show us anything that they have. And of course, I have quite a few things to show you guys here. And I just realized I forgot two important ones, very, very important ones in the other rooms. So at some point, I'll have to rush over there, grab them, and come back. Well, no big deal. But yeah. Also, I have a video coming out next week, normal video on YouTube. I redid all of my Hot Toys collection setup. I took everything out of the detox, everything, which is very, very daunting and a little nerve-wracking. And I polished the shelves, I cleaned the glass and all that, got everything looking nice, made sure the lighting was still good and intact. And I redid the whole thing. I had a bunch of new figures that needed to go in there, and now they're in there. I took a bunch of them out. That whole process of unboxing Hot Toys and boxing them back up, it's horrible. It's horrible. Like doing one or two, fine, but when you're doing the whole like 3D tops worth, yeah. Anyway, that video is next week. So tonight we got two guests joining us here in the Cantina. I am really stoked to have them. They have been on previously before. So we're going to go ahead and say hello to them. So first, joining us once again, I believe he was on back in maybe October-ish. We got the one and only Ken Plume joining us. Ken, how's it going?
Belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
And, also glad to hear that you're feeling better.
Thank you.
And the new setup looks great. So welcome to the new year.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Ken, and Happy New Year to you too. And yeah, I'm excited to have you back. Anytime we do any kind of Disney Parks talk, I think you're kind of essential. So
well, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And then returning once again, I think it's been maybe gosh, I don't remember when. I did 46 shows last year. I don't remember exactly when everybody came on, but also essential for Disney Parks talk. We got Rick Shatrdglassjazz joining with us once again. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Hey there. Doing great. It's good to be back.
Awesome. Good to see you. And yeah, so like I said, first show of the year, 2025, brand new year, brand new month, brand new everything. And yeah, we're going to start off with touching a little bit of some Jurassic, some Star Wars, a little bit of everything, some Disney parks, all the good stuff, essentially, all the best stuff, I would say. So yeah, welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here. It is lovely to see you with us. Oh, hey, Jason, good to see you. Thank you for coming in and hanging out. Paul, you too. Hello. Thanks for coming on in. Yeah, so cool. We're going to go ahead and get things started here, you guys, with both of you have been on here before, so I don't think we need to do a terribly long introduction. But if you just want to mention really quick, like briefly, like why you're here, essentially, like why we're
you
talking
invited
to
us. and it's a joy always to be on. So why else wouldn't we be here?
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the
Go for it,
Star
Rick,
Wars
it's all on
is.
you.
I was just going to say Star Wars is easily, the beginning, the alpha omega of my collection and life. It's just a big part of it. And when I found your show, within a few months, you became my favorite place to just hang out and get news about Star Wars. It's such a positive spin in what was a time that wasn't so positive, I think, especially on YouTube. So I appreciate the Cantina just as much as anyone. And again, I collect a lot of stuff, but Star Wars is still kind of like the heartbeat, the spine of the collection.
And an even nicer place to be, as YouTube has become a increasingly not good place.
Right. Yes.
So it's nice to have these little oases, and you provide a rather large oasis for collectors and people who just want to be positive about things alike.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you, Rick, for saying that. And Ken, you too. Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Star Wars is the best. Yeah, positive vibes always. Okay, so we're going to start off with our first topic here. We're going to go into Mattel Jurassic news because there is some news. This is a line that I have been very, very into since Mattel acquired the license in 2018. And I say it every time, they deserve all the credit in the world for taking a toy line that was basically dead and creating an evergreen, ever present on the toy shelves line, because it's always there. They're always consistently putting out new product. It's very rare that they raise prices on any of their assortments, which is unreal that that's been the case since 2018. Like, it is absolutely the case that they've never raised they haven't raised prices. The smallest ones are $8, as they've always been. The bigger ones are always $10. They still are. The slightly larger ones are still $15. Then you get the $20, then $25. Those prices have been so consistent. I don't know how Mattel does it, but as a toy buyer, I thank them for doing that. Of course, it hasn't been a perfect line. There have been I've had some criticisms of certain way things have been handled, or certain choices that they've made with the line in terms of characters that they choose to make or not make as figures. But there is some news, so we're going to talk about this. So my friend Tim over at Collect Jurassic has some information about the latest product from Mattel Jurassic. So this is over on his website, collectjurassic.com. Chaos Theory was the show that was out in the fall. It was the new Jurassic animated series, sequel to Camp Cretaceous. Excellent series. This series, in my opinion, was better than the last two movies. I thought it was just really well done. And the toys here, he's got a really nice checklist that he put up for the latest assortments, danger packs, full gallery for all of these, strike attacks, which are the slightly bigger ones, the wild roars, which are the $15 range, the $20 or $25 range, the giant trackers, and then multi-packs. So there's a lot of stuff right now for this toy line. And it is definitely cool to see a lot of what's coming out, because they're still supporting this line, even though there hasn't been a movie out in the last couple of years. There is a movie obviously coming out later this year. But it is nice that they're continuing to support the line with all of these products. Just curious, did either of you watch Chaos Theory?
I've not seen it, but I've heard good things about Camp Cretaceous, so it's on the long list of things to watch.
I've seen clips of the animated show, and I've seen all the movies.
I have seen all the movies, and I agree with your assessment. It is a complicated relationship with those movies.
Yeah. Yeah, very complicated. So anyway, that's Collect Jurassic side. There is some big news for Jurassic. I'm going to pull that up next. But first, I definitely want to say hello to Brother Cousins. Thank you, Brother Cousins, for the super chat. That is very sweet of you. Thank you for that. Happy belated birthday. I appreciate that. And Brother Cousins will be on next week on Cantina Sashar for the first time. We're going to do some 6-scale talk. I am excited about that. Very excited to have him on for the very first time. If you're not following Brother Cousins already, then definitely hit him up on YouTube and on Instagram, and check out his excellent stuff. Looking forward to Brother Cousins next week. We'll be talking some hot toys and some 6-scale talks, so that'll be fun. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up the other news from Jurassic. So this is also Collect Jurassic. This is his Instagram page. And we got word of some pretty big things that are on the horizon. So of course, the Hammond collection is, you know, it's the TVC of Mattel Jurassic. I wouldn't say that it's quite TVC quality, not completely. But the dinosaurs are oftentimes very good. Stegosaurus, my personal favorite dinosaur ever since I was a little kid, is finally coming into the Hammond collection. They did Stegosaurus in the main line back in 2018, and they have repainted it a few times since then. But they've never done a whole new sculpt. It's the same one since 2018. But this Hammond collection Stego is completely brand new. It's going to be hyper articulated. It's going to have probably some really nice paint detail. We haven't seen the actual product, so we don't know exactly what it looks like quite yet. But I am excited for it. This is probably the one I'm most excited for and have been wanting them to make for a long time. And it'll join the ranks of their Triceratops and their Brachiosaurus. And gosh, they've done so many at this point. But it's really nice to see some of just the classic dinosaurs, not some of the crazily named dinosaurs that Mattel's been putting out as of late, which are, you know, we love them all, right? They're all great, but it's great to just see classic dinosaurs that you've been wanting for a long time. So we got Stegosaurus. Hammond collection also coming is Spinosaurus, which is a very exciting release as well. And this one, this is one people have been asking for a long time. Mattel did Spinosaurus back in 2018 as well. That was a whole, if anyone remembers, that was a whole saga of drama when they did that. But save the Spino, the hashtag save the Spino. But yeah, so Hammond collection finally getting a hyper articulated Spinosaurus. I hope that it looks incredible. And I'm excited for it. That's after the Stego. I think the Spino is going to be probably the most exciting for me personally. But not only that, Jurassic World Rebirth, as I mentioned, is coming out in July. Supposedly, I don't know how they're going to do it that quickly, but they're saying July. Titanosaurus. This is one of their big dinosaurs, like the Brachiosaurus, like the Apatosaurus, like the Diplodocus, like the Dreadnoughtus. Like they've done all these really big dinosaurs. Some of them are really long. I think the Diplodocus is like close to 4 feet long or something. It's ridiculous. So another one is coming, Titanosaurus. I stopped opening these big dinosaurs after the first two because there's just nowhere to put them. But I'll sure as heck pick up a Titanosaurus, even if it has to go to storage and just hang out there for, you know, that one day in the future that we always talk about. When I got the big 3-story mansion and I can put, you know, the whole third floor of a toy collection kind of museum thing. But yeah, I'm excited for these. Jurassic Dave, good to see you.
You're not going to do like an outdoor park and set them up in situ outdoors, like your own Jurassic Park?
Yeah, it could definitely be my own Jurassic Park. That would be interesting.
And I just want to hear about the Spinosaurus drama. I'm really curious about this now. What was the Spinosaurus drama?
What was the Spinosaurus drama? I'm glad you asked, Ken. Okay, so back in 2018, you know, this line was brand new. It was fresh. It started in, I think it first hit stores in, I think it was April 2018. And then the movie came out in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom came out in June or July. So anyway, they announced a Spinosaurus, and initially it only hits Europe. And people are starting to freak out, like, oh, it's in Europe. Why is it in the US? Then it starts hitting in a few places in South America. Still not in the US. eventually, Target announces that they're going to be carrying the Spinosaurus, but it ends up being that it's an online exclusive. They drop it at some point just randomly, I think like really like in the middle of the night, and it sold out very, very quickly. I don't remember the exact time, but it sold out probably within an hour, I would say, if I recall correctly. And then they never restocked it. Months went without them restocking. Mattel was adamant because people were upset. Mattel said, you know, we don't really know what's going on. We expect that they're going to get more, but we don't really know. Target was kind of saying it was a one-time thing. We're not getting any more. So people started importing them from Europe, or they started importing them from South America, or Mexico, or wherever they could get them. And then it was just a big thing. The hashtag Save the Spino started trending, and people were trying to, convince Mattel to produce more of them. And I think this was in July or August. I think it was in really late July 2018 that this happened. And then it wasn't until I believe November, it was either late October, early November, that finally Target started selling more through their website. So all these months passed with people freaking out. This thing's selling for like $100 and some bucks on eBay. Which it was a $25 toy, but it was selling for like that much on eBay. And then eventually Target would get it in, but then they would put it in stock for just like a few minutes at a time, and it would sell out, and they would get some more, then it would sell out. The drops were really inconsistent. It was always like in the middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And it was just really perplexing, very, very, very curious and strange. But
it's a good thing there's never been a problem with any Target pre-orders since then.
Right. No,
They've been
never.
entirely dependable, lovely to deal with.
Yeah, it was really, really, really weird. But people were creating memes, and they were creating like, different like GIFs and stuff like on social media. And it was a whole Save the Spino ended up being like a really big thing. And, we never got great communication from Target or Mattel on it. It just ended up being that Target did get more. But it was just like little drops of them here and there. But if you really wanted a Spino, you probably got a Spino because they were able to, for the most part, meet demand. If you didn't get one, you probably weren't really trying. And of course, they did bring other versions of the Spinosaurus out in subsequent years that were better than that first Spinosaurus. But yeah, it was just a whole like dramatic thing, which again, I've had my criticisms of Mattel Jurassic, and there have been other things happen that have been very frustrating for collectors. But yeah, so that's basically the gist of it, Ken.
I'm glad I asked. Now I don't have to worry about it. I'm glad that everyone is getting it. So this is like, so how good is the scaling within the Hammond collection? How accurate would you say the scaling is?
They scale with the rest of the 3 3/4 inch line. Like they're all 3 3/4 inch or 4-inch. But yeah, they're in scale with everything else. The one exception I would say is the Triceratops was small for whatever reason, the adult Triceratops. Other than that, the scaling's been good. The bigger dinosaurs are great. Some of the smaller ones, they can be hit and miss. The humans, probably more misses than hits, to be honest. So it's kind of been all over the place. Yeah, it's their collector line. So, I mean, it's fairly priced for the most part. And some of them are really good. The Giganotosaurus, the Therizinosaurus are quite excellent. And some of the smaller ones are quite excellent too. So it's been pretty well received.
So the dinosaurs are the most positive aspect of the line. So the least positive would be the humans. We talked about this the last time I was on, when I just picked up the Ian Malcolm from Ollie's to add to the Cantina when that comes in, and how disappointed I was. And basically that feels like a bendy figure. Like I thought I was going to tear it apart. It was so rubbery in taking that thing out of the package.
Yeah. I have I have a little so the human figures, like the ones that don't have sleeves on their arms, they end up having these really thick wrists, and I call them cankle wrists for those figures because that's what they look like.
It's a sodium issue. It's fine. They'll work through it.
We'll see. They've had a few. They've had a few years.
So it sounds like they're not really terribly concerned about making that any better. Does it seem like that's a concern for them?
The dinosaurs have gotten better. Like the latest ones are definitely better. But they still have weird things. Like the Dimetrodon had. They've been putting these like clear eyes in some of their figures. Instead of painting on the eyes on the Hammond collection, they put in like these little glass eyes. And on some of them it works, and on some of them it doesn't. The Dimetrodon had this issue where they weren't secured very well in the eye socket. I'm like pointing to my eye. Like in the eye socket, they weren't secured well, and they had a tendency to fall out. So when you would go to the store and find it at Target, it looked like they were missing eyes because the eyes would slip out of that one. So
well, the problem,
just
I mean,
weird
we had that
things.
briefly with the what was it, the special edition Jabba the Hutt for Power of the Force 2 that had the weird plastic eyes in it that are so deep sunk in that it looks not terribly great.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
It's a weird choice whenever they make that choice to put, because it really is entirely contingent on the placement and how deep sunk those are. Because also there's no light to light it up, so it's still going to be just this dark piece of plastic.
Right. On these dinosaurs, like the lighting has to hit them just right for you to see the eyes that way. Because if it doesn't hit them right, then it just looks like they don't have eyes, or it looks like they're foggy, or it just looks weird. So I'm not a huge fan of that. On the bigger dinosaurs, it's not so bad. On the smaller ones, though, like it's probably, I don't think it's
because it's so little space to try and catch that light.
Yep.
That's not a good chance that you are.
Right.
Now, if only they could put that R&D into making their human characters look like the characters they're supposed to look like, that would be swell. Because I'd buy them. I mean, that would interest me in pursuing the line more if they actually look great as representations of those characters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they're not even that much better than the mainline figures, which is kind of, the whole point of them is they are supposed to be collector line, but they're not that great.
Well, Mattel has never been known for their super articulated 3 3/4 scale. I mean, that's not really anything that they've ever locked onto or been great at.
Right.
And the closest they came was the Justice League Unlimited line, but those were 5 POA.
Yeah.
Were basically little statues, but that's probably the closest they came to being accurate representations of what they were supposed to be.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I hope they continue to improve the line, and but either way, these releases they've announced are very exciting. So, we'll see what happens with Mattel Jurassic. All right, we're going to go ahead and switch gears here. I want to let everybody know that SWTVC March Madness is underway. Currently, they are accepting lists of your top 25, and you can do that through the SWTVC Instagram page or their website. And basically, you fill it out. It has 1 through 25. You write in the names, and you submit it to them. The higher your figure ranks, like if it's number 1, number 2, like they're assigned a higher level of points than lower on your list. Like they lose points the lower they go. So number 1 compared to number 18 is gonna be more valuable. So if you want your most important characters to be ordered out in the order of importance to you. So they're accepting through the end of this month your list. After that, they're gonna clean the data, they're going to go through it, and they're going to, that's when the whole bracketing comes in. And then, you have figures facing off for several weeks in March until the winner is still standing. So
have you ever done one that hasn't included Tonica Sisters in it? Is this the first year that you haven't had to worry about that?
This is the first time. This is the very first time, and I'm so relieved that I don't have to worry about that ever again. So this is my list right here. This is my top 25. Now I really wanted Arleal Shoes even before the Cantina HasLab was a thing. Like Arleal Shoes has been my number 2 most wanted Cantina character. Now that they've given us a taste of him, now that they've taken the lollipop away from the child, I want him even more. So
Listen,
he's
that G.I. Joe HasLab had to start on time. It had to start with no competition.
yeah. So Arleo Schutz won last figure standing last fall. And I hope that Arleo Schutz will come out on top once again for SWTVC March Madness. But either way, you know, whatever. He's my number one pick. They could easily make this figure now that they've done the digital like sculpting or, you know, the 3D prints and such. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have a smorgasbord of characters essentially. So C3PO is number 2 because we haven't had a brand new C3PO since 2010 in TVC. And that figure is too small and the eyes are weird because the face comes off and it's just, yeah, it doesn't work anymore. Asajj Ventress, never been done in TVC. And then there's just, after that, it's just all kinds of stuff. The Stranger, Kira, some classic characters that haven't been redone in forever, like Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith, like Queen Amidala, Darth Maul. And others that just have never been made, like Baze Malbus. Why are we still waiting on Baze Malbus after all this time? Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Why are we still waiting on characters like that? The Mandalorian, very well covered in TVC, but there's still no Peli Motto. There's still no Moff Gideon in Dark Trooper armor. There's still no Praetorian Guard. Of course, I had to put Akmina on my list because now that we're going to get the Cantina, you know, I'd love to have Akmina in there. And then, you know, just random stuff after that. Mace Windu, Palpatine, Grievous, Dryden Voss, another one from Solo. EV-99 hasn't been done since Power of the Force 2 days. Keller and Beck, because Keller and Beck would be amazing to have. And then some really kind of deep cuts that are just like personal wants that I'm sure I'm the only person that wants these. But I had to put on my list, like Dorme from Attack of the Clones. I've been wanting that figure since 2002 because I'm weird. Peppy
Well,
Bo.
the other decoys and
Yeah, we did. We got Sabe, we got Rabe. It's like, why don't we get Dorme? Peppy Bo, Jar Jar's kind of sort of girlfriend. Like, I think we need her. We need Hot Callus for sure. And then I put
only if it says that on the package.
Only if it says it on the package. That's the only. You know, I didn't realize until recently his name was actually Alexander. Like, okay, all right, I guess that works.
You can call him Al.
That works.
Al Callus.
Yeah, Al Callus. I like it. And then I put SM33 on here from Skeleton Crew to round out the list.
At least we're getting him in the Epic collection.
Yeah. I don't like starting like. You know, I've been collecting so long at this point. Like, I'm not so interested in starting new collections. Like, I mean, I'd love to have Skeleton Crew. I'd love to have more Acolyte figures. I'd love to have other things that, you know, the rest of the Bad Batch, obviously. But, you know, I'm at the point where I've just been collecting so long. I just want to finish what I started like years and decades ago. That's like my main thing. Like, I want remakes of characters that have not been done definitively, like C3PO, like Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan, you know, things like that. And then really important critical characters that just haven't been done to complete those crews, like Bodhi Rook, like Baze Malbus, like Kira, like Dryden Voss, things like that. But I mean, obviously I'd love those other characters, but they're just not for me a priority at this point. So that's my list. And again, just hope everybody submits their list that's interested in March Madness, because this is the time to do it. They're running through the end of January. So you still have some time to submit your top 25.
So what's your number one scene finisher? For
Scene
both of you.
finisher.
Yeah, for what's your number one for, like, the one that's like, I just need that one to finish this display?
Well, shoot, I would say the Cantina, but it's not, because there's still several. They haven't done Zizit. They haven't done who's the other Duras? Not Alor's Matic, but not Canidus. Bennis Keeg. They haven't done Bennis Keeg. I mean, like, I don't feel like anything's going to be truly complete other than some of these, like, these crews, like Rogue One. If they just did Bodhi Rook and Baze Malbus, that crew would be done. Like, that's very easy.
It's so relevant too with Andor coming in, and we know now that it's going to connect right up until Rogue One starts. And I have a feeling they're going to make it exactly like that. There's never been a better year to have that figure come out.
So instead, you'll get 3 more Andors in different outfits.
Exactly. There's one that I thought of after the Ghost came in. I didn't realize how much I wanted a vintage collection Ezra Bridger from seasons 1 and 2. The Ghost doesn't quite feel right without it. Like, I want him so bad to just put with it. So I'm hoping they will go back and do that figure.
I mean, outside of Anakin, have we ever gotten any other junior-sized characters in TVC? Because we never got a Mega.
Well,
In TVC we never got Boba Fett.
There's reason now with Skeleton Crew. I mean, we can name at least 6 different kids right now.
To develop some swappable scaled parts for younger characters.
A new kid book. Yep.
Does Ben Quadinaros count?
Yeah, so he'll share the legs with with young Leia.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, that, they could definitely do something like that, because that's another one, like, right, there's like just certain ones. The only other small ones are like, also other than like the pod racers, would be like the like Salacious Crumb, or the Death Star droid, which the mouse droid, which aren't, not the Death Star droid, the mouse
And
droid,
Jawas will also
and Jawas,
but
we haven't got
get the you could do the Hey Annie, it's Wizard pack with the pod racer starting the engine and that little group of kids outside of it. Yeah, we'll never see that.
No. We will.
Yeah.
That's deep cuts.
George's kid with the braces.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that, but when I saw it in
Was it Kitster? Kitster's back in canon.
it came back to the theater, wasn't it, last year? And I was watching the big screen. I'm like, oh, I forgot she had braces. Like, because it's just one of those things you don't really see it on a smaller TV so easily. But yeah, it looks like Pico B1 says that he's making Peppy Bo. Oh my goodness. That is very exciting. Very exciting, Chad. I'm really eager to see that.
There was a custom that you put up of Kira earlier this week or last week. I saw it at some point, and it just made me realize, wow, I want that figure like really bad.
Yeah.
I'm a person that actually I like Solo. Like, I'd like to see more of that. But
well, I still think that the 5 POA Kira that they put out is one of the best Kira figures they ever did.
yeah, I did like a lot of those 5 POA figures during that time period. They really filled some gaps, like, of stuff when you didn't, have it in vintage collection.
That one.
Yeah.
Great face sculpt on it. There we go.
Let me pull up that custom. I think it was a digital render or something, but okay, got it.
But yes, I mean, they could take those head sculpts from that 5 POA line and just put them on articulated figures.
I'd be okay with that.
So this is from Greedo Collection, and this is a concept. And yeah, this looks like everything I could possibly want from this figure. Just amazing. The card is gorgeous.
Yes.
I love it. I love the blue name pill. It just works. And then like the render of the figure is awesome. Like, just the way that he did the articulation and just the likeness, like, it's gorgeous. Like, Hasbro hired this guy to do that. Like, buy that from this guy.
Yes.
Like, do it.
The parts are so specific and feminine and perfect for the character, and that's the stuff that it just, like, when I saw it, I'm like, this is like dream figure. That type of thing is, we don't get it often, but
but I think with digital face printing, you could use the sculpt they already have for the 5 POA on that sort of articulation from that concept, because that is a great sculpt.
Yeah, July through November is mentioning something Sarah Lynn said is one of the sculptors for these figures that said this is actually created. Yes, I had, even before Sarah had said that, I was cued into that they did design the figure not only for TVC but also for Black Series. But the movie didn't do too well. The figures, weren't exactly selling like hotcakes or anything, so they those figures didn't happen. But they have, at least from the time, they have those versions of the character of the figure that they could still do. But here, this was like 6 years ago. So I mean, if they were to do it now, they would need to make changes, right? Because now we have the barbell hips, now we have the rocker ankles, now we have, you know, better like the face printing and all that. So they wouldn't be able to use it. It would need to look like this, like Greedo Collection's concept here. Absolutely need to look like this. I like your comment, Adam. She could only be improved with massive male legs. Yes, just like Dead Romero.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Gosh darn it, Hasbro. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, this is very, 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 very cool concept here. I think he has a couple more photos.
I mean, it could happen. We could get Akira out of the new video game. I mean, if they wanted to do it as a gaming greats sort of connection, we could get Kira that way as well. As a start to get Kira into the line in some way. She is relevant again. And there was an entire, 8 months of comic books that were all based around her as well.
Yeah, she's definitely in the comics, hardcore.
Yeah, they need to make her like shoot. It needs to happen. Anyhow. So March Madness, you guys. I see a lot of people in the comments saying that they submitted their list. That's awesome. Keep doing it. You still have time. But don't wait too long because you might forget. Like me. I always forget things. I don't forget about toys, but I forget other things that are more important. All right. So Hasbro Star Wars, continuing on toy talk here for Hasbro. It's been a little slow in terms of news for Hasbro. I think the last thing for TVC was, I want to say, was the Anakin 3-pack that they were doing. There hasn't been a whole lot else. There's a lot processing right now. Like the latest wave is processing. Like surprise, surprise, we just dropped all this stuff on you in November, and now
after the trauma of last year, I don't know. I think I'm kind of really enjoying this respite of impending. There was starting to be trauma attached to every time a getting ready to ship notification would come through. It was a little much.
October and November were record. I've been collecting for a long time. I would say October and November was the busiest and most expensive 2 months that I can ever remember.
Right after the closing of the Cantina campaign. So you had that kicking off the ridiculousness of that run of drops. I mean, I don't know what they could do.
Hot Toys did the same thing.
Yeah, I saw there were like, there's been, and still more. I mean, what, like 4 in the last week?
Yeah, it's been a lot.
No,
and then there'll be a lull. There's always like a lull during periods of the year, unless you collect, every 1/6, which some people do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I has got to think must be a way. Obviously, the pandemic threw a lot of things out of whack scheduling wise, but don't tell us it's a shipping in May when we order in October and it's in 3 weeks later.
Yep.
That kind of thing. I mean, you at a certain point, because I've been through this with a lot of different things and the various things I've done over the years, in that if you drop too many things on people at the same time, you get to an exhaustion point where people will just go, I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I can't take this anymore, whether it be cost, whether it be time requirement. Like, hey, we're putting out 17 hours of a podcast in 1 week. Well, people go, I'll never catch up. I'm never going to get to these. I'm just going to stop listening to this thing or watching this thing. And I think with a lot of what just happened in the past 6 months of collecting, I think a lot of people were pushed out of a lot of different lines that they were collecting. Or like, this is it. I'm cutting back. I'm no longer a completionist. And I've certainly made those decisions as well, just because, like, if it's just going straight into a box because you can't keep up and you can't adjust your displays enough, then what is the joy that's coming from something that's just going straight into storage once you get it?
Yeah. And I know I talked about it a little bit last year. Like, I get why they do it, right? Like, they have these when new stuff comes in on across the ocean on cargo ship, it's coming in for like the next, this is everything that they want to release like for the next like few months. Like it's all coming in at once, and they don't want it to just sit. They don't want to pay for storage in some warehouse, so they just like push it through the systems. But it's really bad for us, if you pre-order like everything and then it all hits at once, and then you're in this situation. But
or even better communication, like if it was direct communication from them going, hey, this thing has now gone in, the ship's arrived, so we know it's already going to, so expect in the next 2 months rather than the next 8 months, this thing is coming in.
yeah,
Even more communication along those lines, which is a big thing to ask considering the amount of communication we got about the Ghost. And I don't blame the folks left at Hasbro, because I think that's a staffing issue, that there just isn't the people left after the round of cutbacks to be able to keep up with all these things. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them left, but it is a position that's making collecting very difficult to remain enthusiastic about consistently.
Yeah. And you hear that from hardcore people. So imagine what it feels like to be a fringe collector. So
yeah, or just the availability of things, or having to find it, or having to chase down pre-orders at a very narrow window of time, or else you've missed out. Because if you miss out on enough things, you'll eventually go, no, I'm not going to wake up at 3 a.m. to for the 5 minutes before this thing sells out.
Unless you're Frankenstein's. Oops, did I say that out loud? Yeah, no, it's. Oh, sorry. Somebody's interrupting me here. She's kind of confused right now. Usually, I almost always have her during the stream under the desk, almost always, and she just sleeps pretty much the whole time. But she's a little confused right now with the new setup, so she's just like pacing back and forth, like, where am I supposed to go?
Yeah, you're not in the right place. You have to move. You have to accommodate this now.
I know. I gotta. Yeah, the world. I have to move the world for this dog. So, it's all right. You're good. Yeah. So lots of stuff hitting right now. I forgot what we were talking about. But...
Well, the Hasbro drops that are coming and the recent announcements, and that it's been a bit slow.
Yeah. Well, I do have something, and this isn't TVC or Black Series, but it is Hasbro. So we're going to mention it. So we all know this line that all collectors absolutely love, this 5POA line of stuff. It was called Epic Heroes, and now I guess this is according to In Demand Toys. It's now going to be known as Power the Force, not Power of the Force, Power the Force, which is really weird because I think we all, that title, Power of the Force, like we all associate very much with, two lines that, I mean, we're very far apart, but in 2025, not really that far apart. So for them to appropriate that name, Power the Force, is a little weird. It hits a little weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're retitling these figures as such. SM33, you can't get him in TVC, but you can get him in Power the Force. There is also, and what does he have? It looks like he's got like trash can lids or something that he comes with.
Are they supposed to be the equivalent of like shields?
Yeah, they're
the
shields.
Equivalent of shields, but they look like sewer lids from Ninja Turtle Playmates line. Darth Vader with some flame effect or lightning effect on his lightsaber, because why not? We've got a Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper actually doesn't look too bad. But the Dark Trooper has a red gun. I don't know if it overheated or what's going on. It has a blast effect, which, kind of cool to see the little blast effects being used again. Yoda has a lightsaber with the little lightning effect too. And then also he's got force lightning that I guess he's deflecting. I don't think he's shooting force lightning. At least I hope he's not. But he also comes with a mini version of his Clone Wars Jedi Starfighter that he can sit in. And you know what this reminds me of? This is kind of like when you're a kid and you go to the grocery store and you can put in a quarter to ride in the miniature car. Like that's what this looks like here.
Yeah.
Well, now
Or
I
like
just
a
want to make a
Happy
little
Meal
stand for
toy,
it.
you know, the little gimmick Happy Meal toys. You pull it back and it'll, go forward or whatever.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's some weird things too, like this stormtrooper, like you could put it inside like this big like mech suit
Yeah.
stormtrooper, like kind of like Iron Man like
Mhm.
style, like Iron Man villain style. Or
Hulkbuster.
Yep. Yep.
that.
Rebel Buster. So,
Um yeah, and then there's a Mandalorian one too, because obviously Mandalorian also has hidden in the back of his N1, he's got this giant armor suit for taking on extra large aliens. It's all interesting. It's all very interesting, but
So where do you two stand on this line?
oof.
I don't stand
Well,
on
it's just one of those things where I'm already collecting 1/6 scale Hot Toys, vintage collection, Black Series. So for me, this was an easy pass. And the other thing is, I don't want to buy it because I don't want Hasbro to think this is what I want. When I'm sure it's aimed at kids, I get it. They have different age lines and stuff like that. But for me, it's just not for me
Right.
for multiple reasons.
I can't hate this line. I can't hate this line because I know why this line exists, and I know how few kids are moving into having accessibility for figures and collecting because of price points and because of, I think, a bit of a stranglehold that collectors have placed on the toy market of squeezing out things that they look down on and go, we nobody asked for this. It's like, okay, you as a collector didn't ask for this, but there are kids out there who can't afford a $20 TVC figure
Yeah.
just to have a Darth Vader to play with. That's gonna get, if it's gonna get played with, it's gonna get messed up. And there are very few parents are gonna pay $20 for something that would break because it's super articulated and not meant to be played with by a kid. So I like that this exists. And I would fear about the future of Black Series and TVC if stuff like this didn't exist. Because then I've seen it with a lot of different other markets like comic books and so forth, that the collectors had such a stranglehold on it. And it's like, well, I want mature material. I want this, stories that speak to only me. And why are you doing this all ages stuff or stuff that's accessible? Well, because then you'll be the last generation that enjoys these things, because the other generations beneath you never got a chance for an entry point into it. So for me, I think this speaks to the future and health of a line that they're still trying to reach kids with it. So I kind of hope that something like this does. And that SM33, I would bet $1 that it's going to be better scaled to the actual size of SM33 compared to the characters than what we'll eventually get in TVC, which will probably be a little undersized than he should be.
Yeah, could well be. For me, I may pick up SM33. Other than that, no plans to do anything else. I mean, I don't know how well this line is or isn't selling. I mean, I know it's pretty cheap for them to produce, but it doesn't exactly seem like the first iteration of it was flying off the shelves. Like I remember seeing it pretty steadily, like at Target and Walmart, and it didn't really seem to be moving a whole lot. So I don't really know if how well it's doing, but at least it's there, I guess. I don't know what resources it may or may not be taking away from the collector lines. And I don't really know if kids are really buying Star Wars right now, whether it's TVC or Epic Heroes or whatever, this Power of the Force. Doesn't seem like it. I mean, I'm with kids every day, and it doesn't seem like Star Wars is really that big with them. It hasn't been for the last couple of years.
Yeah. I mean,
So
my 12-year-old is playing with superpowers, and that's why I understand why this line exists, because I understand superpowers on the shelf and what that $10 figure means to. I see my kid walk up to it. I see my kid want it and want to pay for it himself and things like that. So I definitely understand why it exists. I would be more into it if they had just brought back as we knew it, the 5 POA figures with that styling and look, I would have been into that because I can understand when I need some filler figures that may never get a $20 vintage collection release.
Mm.
And don't need a deep stance or
Yeah.
a battle pose.
Yep.
Yeah. Brent makes a good point here. The N1 in the scale was just recently $6 on Amazon. That's kind of crazy for the size. Yes, it was super cheap. I finally picked one up. I wasn't gonna, but it was like, I think it was like $8 or something. And I'm like, shoot, kind of have to, right? It's like a whole N1 for $8. So
That's a slippery slope. That's how Ollie's gets me all the time.
yeah. So I mean, that can't be a great sign that it's $6. But only Hasbro knows. We don't have any of the. They don't share the data with us. Yeah. So that is Hasbro. Star Wars Epic. What is it called? Power of the Force. It's such a weird name. Power of the Force.
No, it's still Epic Collection though, right? Because it's still branded on the bottom.
Yeah, it's Epic Collection. I think.
So is this like a new expression within the Epic Collection to go?
It might be.
Power the Force.
I mean, they do Epic Heroes for Marvel. They do Epic Heroes for other for other lines. So it's not just the Star Wars thing, but yeah, I guess that's still the ultimate like banner it falls under. But I guess Power of the Force is like maybe it's a mini beat within Epic Heroes. I don't really know. There's no press release for these. I don't think. So.
Also, can we get a glossary of all of these weird corporate mini beats expressions? Because it's hard to keep up with all the ridiculous things that they've come up with to describe all of these things.
Oh yeah, it's not as bad as Jurassic though. Like Jurassic has like Savage Strike and like Bashers and Biters and like Wild Packs and just all kinds of crazy.
Well, Star Wars has been pretty consistent now of just TVC, Black Series, and then whatever the kid line happens to be at any given time for the past. Because when was the last time we had 5 POA as a line? Was it all the way back in Last Jedi, right? Last Jedi was the last time we had anything that was 5.
I think so. Yeah, and some of that last wave was very hard to find. Like I remember having to track them down on the aftermarket. You guys remember there were like 3 or 4 figures that were really hard to get at the tail. It's always about the tail end figures. It's the history of toys.
Yep.
Never miss the last few. Even when you think, they've been sitting at Walgreens for 5 years.
Yeah, everything's sitting there until it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, up to a certain point, I had never missed an action figure at retail. As soon as I was able to drive, I never missed a figure. I saw every single one at retail. But then when you got to the Legacy Collection, I think it was the end of Legacy Collection, that expanded universe wave with Kate Kroc and I think was it Ben Skywalker and
2009 to 2012 was, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was my moment as well. I failed them at that point.
Well, I mean, it's clear that they were trying to launch TVC at that point and sort of trying to purge that as 5 POA lines.
There were a lot of figures. I've been going through my bins recently. I've sold a few Clone Wars figures that are just way beyond the $100 mark, and I'm like, I'm getting rid of it. But I've been going through those bins of Legacy and Clone Wars, and it's funny from that era when they were putting out so much. There were figures in there that I've never seen. I'm like, I own this. I'm glad I own this. I didn't know I owned this. It's one of those things where you get, it's late at night and you're on eBay and you're like, man, that figure looks really cool. I might buy that. And then you go through your bin and you realize you have 2 of them. It's that era.
Finally doing a spreadsheet was the best thing I ever did.
Yes.
When it came, and having it on my phone.
No, that's even better. I don't have mine on my phone yet. I need to do that. But I do have my bins numbered. I finally I numbered my bins and I have a sheet for each bin for vintage collection. I'm starting to do Legacy and Clone Wars.
Yeah,
now.
before it goes into a container for me, it's marked what container, because
That's
having to dig
that's
through to
great.
find things was also untenable. But I've long done that. Like I have an attic that looks like the end of Raiders, from
I
all the stuff
understand
over the
more
years.
than you know.
Yeah.
I understand.
So having a system,
I bet all three of us do.
having a system is very necessary at a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jurassic Dave says it's sad that toy hunting is kind of gone. Yeah, we're in a different era for sure.
I still get that
mean-
joy from Ross or Ollie's of never knowing what's going to show up there. That's sort of replaced Walmart or Target or Toys R Us for me.
Right. Every
Which is
I
sad.
find a few things here and there, a little bit here and there.
I have a dog asleep in my lap right now. My leg's falling asleep, but I don't want to move because then she'll wait. I don't want to bother her. Anyway. Yeah. So other Hasbro Star Wars news, the latest wave of TVC, I mentioned it earlier, is starting to ship. It's processing. They've been in stock on GameStop. They've been in stock on Best Buy. Amazon has started shipping them out, and I think Entertainment Earth is beginning to process orders for the latest wave. We're talking about the wave that finally has a figure that people have been waiting for since TVC began back in 2010, and that
Clone
is
Commander Lieutenant, the
Luke
Clone
Skywalker.
Trooper Lieutenant. No.
The Clone Trooper. Yes, the Clone Trooper Lieutenant that is misnamed and should be the 501st Phase 1 Clone Trooper. That makes me so that kills me. Like the OCD just kills me. Anyway, Luke Skywalker himself finally in TVC, Farm Boy Classic Luke with the reversed card back image. Yeah, it's exciting. I haven't gotten my case from Entertainment Earth, but I did get my singles from Amazon. They came in last night, and gosh, I'm excited about this wave. Like, just finally getting Luke and that classic. I mean, if there ever was going to be like one TVC figure, like one and done, like this would have to be it, right? Like it would have to be this. So finally make the mains. We have him here in our possession, or we're getting him in our possession as people begin to.
Did you get the Black Series version of him?
Yes, I do have the Black Series version.
How do they compare? Because the sculpt was an issue that people have had with the Black Series, the head sculpt.
Well, he's right here. So I was going to say him for new acquisitions, but he's right. He's right here. I mean, it's hard to.
Do you have a preference, just at a glance?
Let's let the audience decide. So here's the Black Series. Luke right here. I think personally, I think he looks pretty good. The hair, though, I think that was the one of the bigger gripes is that people don't like his hair. And I can kind of understand that, but I think the face looks pretty good to me. Like it looks pretty spot on.
Yeah.
The TVC version. Go ahead and grab this guy. TVC version, not quite as good in terms of lightness.
But it seems they got the hair better though.
The hair looks better though.
Yeah, it's not perfect. The hair is better. I think that for what kind of bugs me on this one is the jawline. Like he looks like he's got too broad of a lower jaw.
Like he's got braces.
No, just like his jaw's a little too strong. Like maybe it needs to be a little more finessed, a little more narrow or something. But it's not horrible. It's better than a lot of Lukes we've gotten over the years.
Oh yeah.
But it's not. It's not.
The face printing on the eyes looks great.
Face printing on the eyes does look really good. Yes, I ordered this one like kind of in bulk because I knew I needed I needed one for the land speeder. I knew I needed them for this and for that, the job purchase of the droids and all that. So I got like 5 of these from Amazon, and that's not even counting my Amazon the cases that I ordered from Amazon of the wave. But yeah, very exciting figure. So this latest wave is shipping, and it is two father and son in one wave. Like that is unheard of, but that's really cool.
Did you get the Anakin in?
Yes, I have.
I feel like I'm ruining your reveals now, but
Oh no, don't worry. There's plenty. I do have Anakin.
and how do you feel about the Anakin?
He kind of looks like a little doll. Like I don't mean that in a bad way, but he looks like a little doll. Like for some reason to me. Like he's not bad.
So you
He's
think
not
like
horrible.
more like emotionless, that sort of doll like appearance? Like he looks.
I mean, from what I understand, he reuses some parts from 2012, like the lower arms. So that doesn't sit well with me. And you can kind of tell when you look at it, like he doesn't look. Here, I'll show.
Proportional.
I mean, you can kind of just tell that the arms look a little strange. Like the lower arms, glare. The lower arms are not quite. I don't know. It just like it looks like they don't quite fit. That's the best way I can kind of describe it. But he doesn't look bad. Like the likeness is okay. He's missing the scar.
He does look like he's wearing the same makeup that Luke had on the holiday special.
He does. He does look like that. I mean, kind of, right? Yeah. It's like he looks like he got Botox.
Well, I mean, in the club, we all fam. He's going out for the night. He's enjoying himself.
Yeah. I mean, look at him compared to the picture.
Yeah. The world between worlds isn't kind.
I think the hair looks a little too
bushy.
Styled.
Yeah. The one that bothers me the most though is this guy. I know we mentioned him. Clone Trooper Lieutenant. That's really a 501st Phase 1 Clone Trooper. Come on. I don't know.
No,
this is a Lucas. This isn't Hasbro. This is Lucasfilm that named him. But
we can easily put a sticker over that. It'll be fine.
They would have sold more of these. They would have put 501st. I know they would have. They would have written 501st. They would have sold more of these. They would have. And I did my part. I did order like 10 of them. But anyway, what bothers me more is this one, because if you look at the art, look how big those shoulder pads are. Those are like some 80 shoulder pads he's wearing. But then when you look at the figure, look how small they are. It's weird.
Now, is it small or is this that they're popped out? Like they're like, it seems like you could probably pose them that way.
No,
that scene, I think it's the first time that a human being was actually running around in the real armor, wasn't it, for that scene?
Yeah.
Correct.
For any of the scenes, right? Like none of there's no practical in the prequels.
Yeah, like I think it's both, because I see what you're saying. They look like they're kind of like maybe a little bit lifted, but if you look at the size of it compared to the helmet, it's like if you put it across the front of the helmet, it would cover his whole face. If you look at that on the figure, though, like
well, as soon as you open it, the first photo we need to see is you trying to stuff something up underneath those to keep those up to see if you can recreate that shoulder pop.
Yeah, nothing's gonna save that. He's got, maybe if the helmet was a little bit smaller, that would help, but because the helmet is kind of big. But yeah, the shoulder
fin looks much more defined and pronounced. Like it looks more like a mohawk on it than it does in the sculpt.
Yeah, that is true as well. I don't know why they did that.
Those scenes are really dusty and hazy, and it's a shame that isn't an opportunity to put a little bit of dirt on that figure, those troopers.
Yeah. July through November asking, is it a removable helmet? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. You guys want to find out?
I mean, does it look large?
I mean, yeah. But I don't know if it's
You're becoming even more disenfranchised with this the longer you look at it.
I know. Supposed to be having fun, you guys, not torturing myself. Let's see. No, it's not a removable helmet. It's just a helmet.
So it's like one of the troop packs that we got through Hasbro Pulse. And just now.
No, it's the new sculpt. It's the new sculpt, the one they came out with last year. But like, he's just got a big head. Look at that.
I mean, those helmets were big in the models.
Yeah.
Not this big.
I have a big head, but when I put the helmets on, like the Rex helmet, when I put the Rex helmet on, I'm in a brand new level of big head. You know what I mean? If you guys have ever put those helmets on,
So are the shoulder pads floaty? Can you push them up to give him that linebacker look?
Okay, let's look at the picture. So the picture, he's kind of like, he's running, he's got his arms out.
Like they seem like maybe they were very loose and flappy, and they just caught that one frame where they were hovering in air.
We're gonna do this right now. We're gonna recreate the image on the card, but I gotta give him his weapon. Gotta give him his weapon. And
Honestly,
of course,
this is all I wanted. I want everyone watching this right now, send super chats to thank Victoria for ripping this open and dealing with the pain of this obviously disappointing figure.
I mean, I like the idea of the figure.
That's not making it any better. Well, I like the idea of it, but not anything they did with
the execution, however.
The execution. Okay, so I'm trying to create the exact pose that the figure is in on the card. And you guys get to see me blown up here on your screen. Sorry, I apologize. Sorry. All right, so I'm going to give him the weapon in both hands. And it looks like he's running. His head's kind of down a little bit. His legs out a little bit because he's running.
his fin is fully deployed.
Okay. Yeah.
That's his attack fin.
Oh man, his gun came out. So I can't put his arms out all the way because then he lets go of the gun. So this is the closest I can get. Okay. Here's the picture right there. And here's my attempt right here. I mean,
yeah. I mean, are the shoulder pads floating shoulder pads like Black Series? Can you push them up?
I'm not really.
Like, are they stuck to the arms?
Okay. Look, so they are not 100% glued on.
Yeah.
Look, check this out. They do move.
They go the wrong way.
They move from the wrong side.
So Black Series, because they have the rings on the inside around the actual shoulder, you could push them up and create that, but not in TVC.
No, because they come up on the wrong side. This looks like a third grader dressed as a clone trooper.
What was because with Black Series we got the lieutenant last year, right? In the phase 1. What set did we get?
Which is really a 501st trooper, but yes.
Yes. Yeah, the same naming convention. We got that. So I will dig mine out later and I will try and recreate the linebacker pose from the card with a Black Series figure to see if it can do it instead.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the fin is up too all the way. As much as I could get anyway.
Please, battle fin.
Yeah. This is how they fight. They like or backwards stab you in the eye.
Maybe they're continually just stumbling. Maybe they're on the verge of falling down, and that's how they run.
Maybe. Anyway.
You ordered a case of those, right? That's going into display.
I did order. Okay, so I'm complaining about it, but I still bought 10 of them because I wanted to have because it's a 501st trooper, right?
Because they're fine when they're out of the package and you don't have to look at that pill.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I like the idea. I like the idea of it, but
that bitter pill to swallow on
very
that card.
Very bitter. I guess now that we're opening figures, let's go to and open Anakin too. See what he looks
you'll
like.
ruin his hair.
I don't think he'll mind. I don't think he'll mind. I won't mind for sure.
Listen, he's really big on attachment, so you taking him out of that package.
All right, Anakin, let's see you out of the packaging. Are you really wearing all that makeup? You really have Botox? We're going to see. We're going to see. Okay, let's show him up close. Ta-da!
And he's looking kind of up. Maybe that's also what is feeding into the weird sort of... Like he's got very narrow eyes.
He does.
Like he looks like he's smizing. Or it's like sultry Anakin.
It's like he's got a filter on him.
Yeah.
Is the head on a ball joint? Can you like have him look down so he's
This
sort
is
of
a-
looking up to camera?
This is an Instagram filter for sure. Look at that. He's pretty.
Oh, yeah, that needs to be a filter for sure. The World Between Worlds filter, that would be popular.
His face looks stuck. Like, Annie, are you okay?
Yeah.
He is so high right now.
Now we know what that song was about. Yeah, he does look that way too. Yeah, these are totally the old arms. These are totally the lower arms anyway. I like the figure. I think he needs a little more like paint on his armor because the armor looks too clean and perfect. But
If you had the choice between the two heads, do you prefer the one that came out with the face printing, the re-release previously, over this one?
no, that one was horrible. This one's better. Is it?
So you're fine with the glow up.
I mean, they had to de-age him, right? He is 40 something. I think the sculpt is basically there, but yeah, the paint.
I think it's a print. Yeah, I think it's a print issue. Like it seems like it's just an adjustment in the face printing could be.
Let me here, I'm gonna put my flashlight on him.
Oh, now I'm curious because we'll see soon how this compares to the 3-pack face printing that we're gonna get.
I'm just trying to light him from different angles here.
He's just got such a serene look. Like there's no real character in the pose.
No, it's weird. I mean, okay, I'll be honest. Like for in person, like when you're holding him in your hand, he looks pretty fine. But when I put him up here and you guys are seeing,
he looks so fine. No.
Yeah, he does. When you're seeing him like this, like he looks worse than he does in hand like this. I will say that. He doesn't look, the eyes don't look as like squinty when I have him here in my hand.
But we're getting all angry, almost Sithy Anakin in the 3-pack, right?
Yes.
So is that a brand new face sculpt? Have we heard? I mean, it would have to be now looking at that.
Well, that Anakin is in that 3-pack too. But yeah, they're all series of Revenge of the Sith Anakin. I think that one has a different sculpt. All right, shall we?
I think you have to now.
At this point, yeah. You never know what's gonna happen on Social Hour. We're live, anything can and does happen. So we're opening A New Hope Luke as well, and we're gonna see if he's got any Botox.
Yeah, maybe both in the holiday special.
Okay, before I take him out all the way, look how little the lightsaber hilts are. Like I don't know why these keep shrinking. Like, that's tiny. Look at that. That's itty bitty.
Now, is that smaller than the unlit?
No, they're the same size. The unlit one though has a little peg, so it looks a little bit bigger.
Ah.
You can plug it into his belt. Although he had a D-ring in the movie, so anyway. Okay.
So we need someone to create just that hair so we can stick that on the Black Series body because it's swappable. We can take the hair off the Black Series one. It's a separate piece.
Yeah.
Oh, what's with the shoulder? What's the joint on the? Is the?
Oh yeah. What is with the shoulder? It's weird. It's like
almost a ball.
No.
It looks like externally though. Maybe it's just the sculpt of the cloth looks kind of funky.
No, let me see. It looks broken, to be honest. Like if you so this one looks normal, right? On the right shoulder.
Yeah, like it's not seated properly, or it was deformed.
Yeah. Check out the left one. The left one doesn't look right.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's totally deformed. I think you got a. I think you got a QC issue.
Yes. I'm gonna put on Instagram. Put Hazard on blast. No, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah, it looks like it's shrunk. It looks like the plastic warped.
It's weird, but like I said, I have 4 more. So giveaway time. eBay, $300 deformed.
I mean, I will say, having had to do it a couple of times, that Hasbro's customer service, they still will replace for things like that. if they have them in stock, which we know they're getting them in stock now. So I
Right.
would see that out.
No, I'm going to eBay it for $500. Special edition Luke Skywalker. Instead of like short saber long tray, it's going to be like deformed shoulder.
Yeah. Shoulder issues.
Sorry, Luke. I don't know what happened to
But
you.
the face sculpt looks good though. I think especially compared to the Anakin. I think the Luke's face is pretty good, and the hair looks right.
Yes, I agree. Let's compare. Trying to do this a little more.
Now I kind of want to see that Anakin hair on the Luke.
Right. And then the height, Anakin is taller. So yeah, Luke's a better figure for sure. How far does the elbow bend? Ooh, the elbow bends really nicely. More over 90 degrees.
So can you get him in a full then? It looks like you can get a good lightsaber holding pose out of
the knee bend's pretty good too. A little more than 90. I'm all doing a review here. Yeah, the ankles are nice.
Very jaunty.
Got a really nice rocker. Look, I broke his ankle. Ouch.
Well, he's already having shoulder issues.
I know, right? Torso goes side to side, but there's not a whole lot of up and down. I mean, there is, but it just kind of like bounces back to that. The head, head looks down, looks up. I apologize for my nails; they're not pristine right now. It's the end of the week. Yeah, the head's pretty fluid. I mean, I like the figure. I think it's a little too clean looking. I mean, maybe there should be a little bit of grime on him or something, but
we've seemed to have lost washes in most of
it seems like
Star Wars figures now.
Right. So
which is ironic because it's like the universe that's supposed to feel lived in.
Yep. So okay, so none of these are perfect is basically the verdict. This guy has a big head and little shoulders. This guy has too much Botox. And this guy has a messed up shoulder.
So what you're saying is the best figure from the wave is Jedi Master Indara.
The best figure from the wave is the one with the broken shoulder.
Yeah, Luke does look good. I can't wait to get this wave. I just want Luke more than anything.
He is good.
I was wondering if all of the shoulders are like that. Maybe that definitely looks like it's the warpage issue to have that centerpiece exposed like that.
Yeah.
You got a case figure.
Who else is in this wave? I forget.
Wasn't it just those four? Isn't it Indara is the fourth of that wave?
Oh, is Indara in the wave? I didn't even get that.
I got a shipping notification from Pulse for Indara.
Okay, then she must be. I didn't even remember that, but I haven't gone because she's in the case I ordered, but I don't think I ordered extra with her. So I ordered extra of these guys because these are my favorites. But
let's see.
Yeah, so she
and because Pulse says it'll ship soon, it'll be like in a month.
Yeah. Let's see what I'm gonna go through the comments. There's a lot of comments about this stuff.
Yeah, Indara was the fourth of the one that they said was shipping along with those. For me, anyway, for that.
Is that the character that got killed in the first episode in the first 2 minutes?
Yes, from I'm forgetting her name from The Matrix. Please, she kicked off the narrative.
Trevor says many figures suffer from the wide jaw look. It really bothers me. The macro binoculars are in the card, and he doesn't come with them. That's a good point, Pico. Everyone, he does not come with the macro binoculars.
Did any of the other TVC releases come with the binoculars? Did the original? Like, what was the closest they came? Was the Stormtrooper belt? The Death
Black
Star
Series,
Rescue?
the old Black Series one had them. I don't know.
Well, I know the Black Series, the new Black Series also comes with the binoculars.
Yeah.
But TVC wise, Will we have to go pre-TVC to have macro binoculars and any of
They'll,
that scale of release?
they'll probably include those in a new land speeder vintage
Deluxe.
collection release for the Tatooine.
Where the lower part of his tunic is cloth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Adam says, odd that both Lukes are kind of off in 2025.
So much is off in 2025.
Oh, I know.
We might as well have.
Yeah, that Luke is probably the least of our worries. They've always struggled with Luke's face. They have, going back to the Power of the Force too, when they did, I think it was like 1997 or so. They went from the really buff, like He-Man looking Luke to to a slimmed down, proportionate one, and it said all new likeness of Luke is what it said on the package. And I always felt like that one was pretty decent.
I'm curious how some of those ones that we saw in, especially Power of the Jedi, with modern paint techniques. I think some of those sculpts in Power of the Jedi are incredible.
Yeah, Boss Nass would look really good.
I mean, I'm fine with that not being. I mean, how are you going to hyper articulate that? Just give us Boss Nass as a modern re-release with a modern paint job, same sculpt. I'm fine. I'd love to have that as a re-release.
Definitely. Clone Wars makeup tutorial, Anakin. He had a fabulous day at the spa.
He's very rested. He's very centered in the Force right now.
Yes,
he's ready to meet the new day.
He's very zen. He's good.
He's very chill about loss right now.
He grew up with 2 sons, so skincare is very important.
Absolutely. Got to protect it from sand.
So there we go. There's the Boss Nass.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, even the paint job then is not a bad paint job.
It's not. That's one of the best, like Power of the Jedi. Charlie says the helmet on the 501st Trooper is slimming.
Sorry.
That's the key. You got to get a really big helmet to wear.
I'm hung up on Boss Nass looking like it feels like it's going to rain.
July through November. Thanks for opening it so we can check it out. No problem.
Also, have we ever gotten other figures that had a hard plastic for the... It's like it's very weird in TVC to get that kind of hard plastic in a 3 3/4 inch figure. Like it's sort of, it could shatter kind of plastic.
Of course, he's serene. He's dead in that scene. Damn. Let's see what else. QC, yeah, that is a QC issue. July through November says that his Luke doesn't have that shoulder thing. Yeah, they should have put this on the card. Rotator cuff injury. The subtitle: Luke Skywalker rotator cuff.
No more ideas. Don't give him ideas.
See, it was an ergonomic issue about how he was flying that Skyhopper model around, and it finally got to him.
Yeah, don't forget that he has the droid collar. Yes, he does. So the droid collar. Did I lose it already? Oh, this is Anakin.
I was going to say that has to be tiny.
That's got to be taped down.
Yeah, it's right? Like it's itty bitty. It's on the right there.
Oh yeah.
Now he didn't get the droid collar in the Black Series. So Black Series got the macro binoculars, but no droid collar. And TVC got droid collar and no macro binoculars.
I guess it plugs into the
game.
But I guess you got to choose because on his belt, it looks like there's only like the one hole for the lightsaber. Oh, no, there's not. There's another hole on his right hip for the droid collar. Okay, so that's good.
Does he have the clip for the macro binoculars on his belt in TVC?
I don't think so.
Because right here, you can see it has in Black Series, there's the clip on his belt to hang the micro binoculars on.
Here, show me that again. I'm going to put you on solo layout so I can see it bigger.
So there's right there is the clip. and you
No.
would hang the. That's where the
No.
macro binoculars get hung
No, this one
from.
doesn't have that.
So it doesn't even have the ability to hang them on there
No.
if you came with it, or you had one from your.
No, they'd have to make a deluxe version, sculpt it on there, or like have like a soft goods belt or something where you could.
So that's when we get bucket hat poncho Luke.
Yeah, with the hat and the poncho.
So as you said, like the Black Series release of the Land Speeder, that'll be the pack in on a different card. It'll be cutscene Luke.
Right.
Probably.
So the droid collar, that's I think I remember him using it, right? He used that when he was looking like going into the garage and C-3PO was hiding in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he essentially use it as like the trigger for the restraining bolt?
Possibly. I remember him going into the garage and it looks like he like presses it and it goes zzz, and then like the repeals.
And that's when C-3PO
please
does
don't
his
deactivate me.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
That
like a
was
shock
kinda
collar
weird.
for droids as well.
So it's funny, like the way like Luke's like, "What are you doing back there?" Like, because maybe he will. Never mind. Anyway, cool. So, yeah. So that's the Hasbro Star Wars news. That went a little bit longer than I intended, but it's all good. Skeleton Crew, you guys. Skeleton Crew finished. I don't know who has seen or not seen it here in the audience, so I'm not going to go too heavy on like what happened. But do you guys want to share just your general thoughts on? I assume that you both watched it, right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to share just your general thoughts on the series and what your thoughts were on how it ended?
I loved it.
I thought the series as a whole was well done. I liked the return to more creatures. It felt like some Star Wars stuff, but in a place that we haven't seen Star Wars go a few places. And what I really liked was it ended up being what I was hoping, and that was a place for kids, or like I said before, my son's 12. He was very interested in this show, and I could tell from the first episode, being able to see someone his age on the screen was very powerful because it not only held his attention, but he was wanting to watch the next episode. And he would get mad when the episode would go off after 24 minutes. I do too. I think I always stand by Star Wars should be either a mini movie or multiple episodes, but never 22 to 24 minutes or whatever it was. So that would my biggest gripe is always having to watch Star Wars in 24 minutes or whatnot on Disney Plus. I'm not crazy about it, but I loved that we got something that we wouldn't. I know that this was, I think, originally supposed to be a movie release.
Or was pitched, it was pitched as a movie.
Yeah.
So it wasn't written as a movie, but it was pitched as one.
Exactly. And I think it would have worked as there as well. But I'm just glad that we got this story that's kind of like outside of the stuff that we've been getting. Because I think the way Ken was talking about that line of figures, power of what is it? Power of the Force. The way he was talking about that line exists because I think it's important that they don't lose track that this type of story is okay too. Like telling a more family, or I grew up in the 80s and you would have Sunday night, family night, Disney movies. And then you had stuff like Goonies that was out there, and a lot of different little movies like that.
Yeah. Goonies, Explorers.
It's just, I think it's just important that kids see themselves in things that are like big universe franchises. It's not all Tony Stark, and those type of adults can only play here in this playground. So I think for me that was the part that I liked the most. But I was actually very surprised at I thought that the finale was well done, and I didn't think it would be. I just lately I haven't felt like there's a lot of writing and a lot of series that don't stick the landing, and I thought this one stuck the landing pretty well. But those are my overall, quick thoughts.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny. I thought there was a lot of joy and excitement, and just sort of that, hey, have fun with this aspect to it, which you don't get in a lot of the material being put because of the discourse surrounding it. And so I put that squarely on the fan base. Just relax and enjoy these things. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Move on to that. We are so spoiled for so much material now that if you had told us 40 years ago, hey, you know what? There's going to be so much Star Wars. It's going to be ridiculous. You know how you're waiting a couple of years for one movie and then you're not going to see another one for 15 years? Guess what? You're not going to go a week without new Star Wars in the future. It's going to be like when a parent catches a kid smoking and they said, oh, now you have to finish the whole carton. You're going to smoke so many cigarettes till you're sick of them. I don't understand people's inability to just roll with it. If you don't like it, it is absolutely fine to not enjoy a piece of entertainment. This is not earth-shattering. This is not the end of the world. This is not the most important thing in the world. Proper context with a lot of things going on. This is not the most important thing. Star Wars, any of these Marvel movies, any franchise, not important in the grand scheme of things. So if you don't like it, move on or rewatch. I mean, so much of our generation was built on rewatching the thing that we liked 50,000 times because we really liked it. Rewatch the things you like if there's one thing you don't like. And I think what was nice about this was just, it was a lark. It was a fun thing, and it went in as a fun thing. I just hope people just relax about so much of the stuff. And I tie that into toy collecting too.
Sure.
There's nothing to get angry about in toy collecting.
No, not at all. Nothing at all.
Except for that really weird shoulder. That's something to get super angry.
That is, you know what? I'm not. It sucks, but I'm not even really mad about it because not only because I have extras, but just because it's almost a novelty to have like a weird thing like that happen. But I see my pal, the 1/6 scale man, is here. Hey, Leo, how's it going? Good to see you here in the cantina. Yeah, I mean, I echo you guys' sentiments. I think for on the whole, it was entertaining, it was enjoyable, it was fun. And at the root of it, that's really what Star Wars is, right? I mean, it's an escape into this other galaxy where aliens are walking around with guns, and there's pirates, and there's good guys, and there's bad guys, and there's wonderment and excitement, and that whole thing. And I think that the show encapsulated that quite well. I do have some nitpicks about it, primarily like regarding like Jod's characterization, because I don't think he was really like ironed out all like completely. I really liked him like initially, but then like once you get to that episode where, well, first of all, it was hilarious. Like when they're on that other Octo or whatever the other planet is, at whatever it was with the war stuff going on. And, he just like gets on his, he's like, just shoot me. Like that was pretty hilarious, but I didn't feel like there was really a payoff for it because we didn't really see what happened after that. He just came like with the Eopies that he returned, but we don't really know in hindsight after seeing the other episodes how he got those back. Like, did he mind trick them? Did he shoot them? Like, we don't really know, right? Because when you see that he's actually not like the best guy, makes you wonder, like, well, how did he really get those back? But
I think we get to fill that in as an audience. What do you think he did? I mean, and now that I mean, where do you think? What do you think his? Because I love the fact he could have paid him off. He's had those couple of credits that he had on him off the ship. He could have paid them off, and they said, "Here, you want some of these?" And they're very valuable, and they would have seen the value in them.
Yeah.
Or he could have force choked a couple of them. He could have just charmed them. He could have just. It could have been so many different directions. Maybe they laughed at his joke about just shoot me.
Maybe they did. Like, I don't know. It was I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't really know. Like, I don't really know what happened, but like when he revealed himself, and again, I said I didn't want to get like too spoiler, but when he revealed himself to not be like the best guy, and it just kind of made me question a little bit, like, well, why did he go back and save the kids then earlier in the previous episode? And like, I don't know, the whole thing of it was a little. Well, it's a little like I'm having a hard time justifying or like rationalizing his characterization, especially like the second half of the season. Like his motivation wasn't completely ironed out, or obviously he goes back and forth from like being nice and being not so nice, but some of the things he did were kind of brutal. So
I mean, for me, it felt like he was always looking for family and connection, but his underlying flaw is that he viewed all of those as conditional. That it's all transactional. It's like you only care about me as long as I'm providing for you, and vice versa. And I think that was the complication with the kids because of their sincerity in their approach. That here's jaded him, who is very broken as a person and who has been betrayed and suffered a great deal of loss when he probably was as hopeful and excited about them, about opportunity.
sure.
And so his entire thing was, you have to understand, you have to stamp that out. You have to not care. You have to not trust in each other. You have to not believe in an inherent goodness of something, because all of that's lies and you're going to be disappointed. And so I thought, for me, that was the struggle that was fun to see with him played out. And the fact that he is complicated, that it wasn't so cut and dry a situation. But I like that the show, very similar to another show recently, I don't know if either of you have watched The Penguin yet.
Yep.
In that the Penguin is presented as a guy that has ideas that are appealing and populist to whoever he's speaking to, and speaks to them and says and promises things that are appealing to a group that would get behind him, but he ultimately doesn't care. And I like that the show, The Penguin, I'm speaking of The Penguin, the show is very serious about telling the audience, listen, question, just because you're being charmed by something that someone's presenting, understand they're still a bad person. And you have, and it seems like narratively we're getting a lot of shows that are trying to get people to understand you have to look at the person who's saying it and the reason, and are they being sincere and genuine, or ultimately is this just a means to an end for them to get what they want, what they're saying and what they're presenting. And I thought that was, to have this come so closely on the heels of The Penguin, I thought was fascinating, a way to see how showrunners are approaching that sort of characterization, and audiences who maybe need to be shown like, hey, you could like Tony Soprano, but Tony Soprano is a murderer, and you have to understand he's not the hero of this show. He's not a hero. He's not a guy to root for.
Sure.
Some of the themes that I've seen all through my life, a lot of good movies, a lot of 80s movies deal with that back and forth of, because every adult has been a kid at some point in their life, and at some point probably corporate America or something like corporate America has jaded you in some way, shape, or form. And seeing how the kids and the parents and Jod, how they all kind of have to think about all the situations, and they can learn from each other, maybe what not to do, or maybe think about it a different way. And that's one of those ongoing themes just in stories in general. And I think in this one, it really hits pretty hard, where the kids are learning a little bit about life on the outside of the barrier. But I think the parents are also learning a little bit as well. And I
How
always
much
love those
baggage
types
you
of
bring as
things.
an adult to an assessment
Yeah.
of a situation,
Yeah, and it's
emotionally.
the choices. At some point, I think everybody can be jaded, but it's the choices that you make, in the long run. I keep wondering too, like, I don't know if I don't think that there's anything official that these characters are going to appear again, but I know there's rumors that are always rumors out there But I wouldn't mind seeing these characters appear again, not just in this show, but in another show, especially after the ending. Like I'd like to see. I thought he was a pretty good villain because he was kind of broken and complicated and unpredictable and all those things, you know? And he's a good actor. I enjoy like whenever they announce there's a really good actor that's coming into the Star Wars universe, I still get excited
Jude
about
Law
stuff
always
like that.
surprises me. Like, oh yeah, he is good. Every time I see him in something, you kind of sort of forget he hovers out there and sort of like
Mhm.
because he came along at a time where he's like, oh, you're kind of like the guy who's come after Ewan McGregor as like the this charming guy in these things
Yeah.
that obviously is complicated, but he'll pop up and just knock things. I mean, I thought his performance in an AI, a film that I think is very hit or miss in a lot of ways, but has some super big ideas. But I thought he was great in that.
Mhm.
So yeah, Jude Law. I mean, the little brief time that he's in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which was a complicated and troubled film on a lot of different fronts. Speaking of the Penguin, is also in that. Colin Farrell. Both of them playing the same role. Yeah, Jude Law, I think, was a brilliant and surprising choice, who brought a lot of nuance and a lot of looks, right, even down to the end. A nice little complicated. What is he thinking? Look,
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. Uh, I did feel the ending was a little abrupt, maybe a little simple, I guess is the best I can describe it. Like there wasn't a whole lot of complexity to like it wrapped up very quickly and very succinctly, and it just wasn't I mean, I enjoyed it. I do have my nitpicks, obviously, but like again, like I said, on the whole, at its core, Star Wars should be, wondrous and fun and entertaining, and it succeeded in all those fronts, and I thought it was a blast watching it every week. And I'm gonna miss not, it's that thing every time a Star Wars series ends, it's like, okay, now there's no more Star Wars until Andor, so now I gotta wait a little bit,
you're
which is
totally
fine.
going to miss him too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
For as many times as he was taking a bath, I'm pretty sure they're going to do some kind of like bathtub TVC for him at some point.
I'm sure the customizers.
I know, it was funny, like to see that not once but twice. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they did that again.
And also the parents whose first things are, you've been on an adventure. You need a bath.
Mhm.
You've been out in space.
You're filthy. Yes. I'm curious what we'll see action figure wise now. I mean, outside of once we get SM33 in Black Series, then Black Series has pretty much gotten all the majors from it. Whereas TVC, we got our Judd.
Yeah, one final thing I guess I'll add is that like I said, I'm with kids like every day, and I haven't heard any of them talk about Skeleton Crew. I just don't think that they've really been like, I mean, Star Wars fans, we're watching it obviously, but I don't think it's really like tapped into, like, I don't think the mainstream has really tapped into it a whole lot. And I don't know if that's just because there's been so much Star Wars at this point. People might say, oh, another Star Wars show. Okay. And just kind of not really pay attention to it. Or, I mean, I feel like it's the kind of show that probably would have been really like resonated with a lot of kids. Like it would have been fun for them, but it doesn't seem, even like relatives and stuff that I have that like watch The Mandalorian, things like that, they're just not really giving it a chance or not watching it. So,
I mean, you also
There's
had 3 episodes that kids were not encountering each other because they're on their holiday break. So you couldn't have had them actually talking about it if they were watching it with their family. And I think a lot of streaming shows, a lot of folks are waiting until they wrap now to hear if it's worth devoting the time to watch it. Because now people are like, well, if it's not going to stick the landing, then I don't want to devote the 4 hours in a very crowded marketplace for my time with content out there to dive into something.
That's the other thing too. It came out at a time where there's
Yeah.
all these, holiday things on
I mean, it launched at
streaming.
Thanksgiving and it ended, it ran through the holidays. It was a
Right.
weird
How
time.
I think the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian were kind of similar time frame too. I think maybe season 1 started a little earlier.
But that first season, that was an event. That's the
That
launch
was
of Disney
that was
Plus.
the kind of thing all the kids were talking
Yeah,
about and loving and
exactly.
everything. Um,
Yeah, other than the events, I think the way that kids consume content is so different than how we all grew up consuming content.
sure.
It's really weird to see, like, my kid was into Star Wars probably by age 3 or 4, honestly, and up until, like, I'd say this year, a little less, like, more interested in watching the shows, but less interested in the toys. But seeing the way that he consumes content and the things that we have to do to kinda control that as parents, but you get to see, like, I'm always asking questions too, like, hey, did your friends watch this, or have your friends, do they know about that? And I'm in Virginia. It's kind of rural where we're at, and he's in a private school, but I can honestly say most of those kids aren't watching Star Wars. Not just Star Wars, but most of them are not. They're watching, at this age, a lot of sports, a lot of YouTube,
A lot of streamers, yeah.
yeah, a lot of streaming and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
not as much store. One thing that we've always done is we include him in a lot of our movie nights and those things. And I think, it's not everyone does that. Not everyone spends as much time with their kid watching like content or toys and things like that like I do. And I recognize that like right away, just in his friends. Sometimes his friends will come over and when they come in the toy room, it's an event. It is an eye opener, and they ask questions. But a lot of them do know about Star Wars. But I don't. I don't hear him saying that they're watching the content as it comes out like we do. A lot of people know about Star Wars, and a lot of people know the big stuff. But like if I show them like the Ghost and talk about Rebels or Clone Wars, that number starts to go way down when you're talking about the masses. I think we forget about that sometimes, but
Well, but yeah, I think the
it's interesting.
culture is gone. So I think that you're having to have, a lot of people are stumbling into these things or word of mouthing these things where it used to be just ubiquitous because there weren't a lot of alternatives. It just sort of enveloped the culture when something would
Yeah,
hit. Now there's so many things out there that I think that people are actively stumbling into it. I mean, there's this TikTok hole you can fall down, and there's so many people that are like, I'm 22 and I'm watching Star Wars for the first time. And it's fascinating to watch them dive in to
yeah.
watching the films for the first time, and they're
And
like, "Oh my gosh, so and so did this, and oh, what, Vader is Luke's father, and what?"
And there's no
And
easy answer either. Like I've heard a lot of people debate, well, what if Star Wars just came back to the movies? I'm here to tell you that the movie experience has changed drastically, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back. When I see people debating, hey, this movie just launched and it's not doing so well, I myself look inward and I logically come to the conclusion that this movie didn't do that well because 99% of the movies that are coming out now don't do well because it's not all about the writing. It's about a new generation is upon us. The world has gone through a lot, and I don't think we're going to go back to that. We're always going to have a movie or two. Like we're going to have like a Top Gun that comes out at the right time, is a pretty good story. Nostalgia just bit its bite, and it did extremely well.
or the
You're going to
word of
have a
mouth was there.
Spider-Man.
Oh, you got to go
Spider,
see it.
yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home. Same thing. I'm almost around the same time. But if you look at it, it is much harder now for like a big franchise special effect blockbuster building the world type movie to do well. That's why there's so many smaller horror movies that do extremely well on small budgets because they don't have as much money to earn back. Things have
But also,
changed
people
a
know that
lot,
these things are going to be hitting streaming soon. So, do you want to spend the $50 to go see it in the theater? Like, where is the urgency? I mean, I think the urgency is gone for a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But that means that there has to be an assessment of what's the long-term sticking power of these. Like you look at Inside Out 2 was absolutely ravaged when it came out, going, oh, it's a failure at the box office. No one's going to see this thing. It's not getting what Pixar. It's now the highest grossing film of last year because it just stuck around and people showed up but it's not, you're not getting the opening weekends like it used to get because there isn't the urgency for that for a multitude of reasons, economical, the fact that just society doesn't see it as an urgency to go see it. So it's just a recalibration happening right now. But entertainment has gone through that when TV came on the scene, and people freaked out about movies are dead. Movies are dead.
Yeah.
Maybe we need gimmicks. What about widescreen? Do you like widescreen? Oh, it's super widescreen. Is that a thing in 3D? Super widescreen in 3D? CinemaScope? Will that bring you back? Does that make it an event? There's people that are always gonna like that experience. I just think it's not going to be as urgent for opening weekend. And the opening weekend blockbuster is a modern, I say modern. It is in the history of film, it is more recent than the creation of film that blockbuster got to be there opening weekend was a thing. I mean, for us, opening day was Friday. And then it suddenly became midnight on Thursday. Then it suddenly became midnight on Wednesday. Then it became midday on Wednesday. So all of these windows got pushed out to build up this event nature. And, the pandemic broke a lot of those habits that people had gotten into. And either they're going to come back or they're not going to come back. But I don't think you can force it back. So we're just going to have to see where the culture goes in any of this. I don't think Star Wars is going away. I don't think Marvel's going away. I think everyone's just recalibrating their expectations based on the unsustainable nature of that instant blockbuster ubiquity model that is not sustainable at all for anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it all goes. I don't think that anything is dead yet, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to a little bit of Disney parks talk. And I guess I want to start out with something that, I've known this was coming for a few weeks now, and now we're seeing an image of it. There was actually a little bit of video, but not the audio, but some video was released officially by Disney today, in fact. And that is that the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland is receiving a brand new bride in the attic, and the scene has been redone. So there's an official image released by Disney today, and there is some video you can look up that they've also released that's on YouTube from their Disney Parks blog. But yeah, brand new bride. I mean, I never really liked the last one. I mean, I know she kind of developed her own like mini following, I would say, to some extent over the years, but
everything at the park does.
Everything at the park does. But like this is something I was hoping they do, especially when they redid the Hatbox Ghost and they brought him back for the first time in 50 whatever years it was. Like this was something I felt was kind of important for them to do, and it sounds like the storyline's different now. But yeah, brand new bride. This is our first look at her, and I'm excited to see this in person.
I mean, just from the still image, the effect looks great. I mean, the one that has been in there was an upgrade from what was there previously, which was a much more static representation. And then the last one just suffered from being, you're way too close to what is an obvious projection.
Right.
For it to feel anything but where, watching a movie projected on a face.
Yeah. On a face that was very flat and just was not convincing at any level.
You're too close to it for it to feel other than what it was. And you're moving so slowly through the attic that you have a lot of time to take in that effect.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, but it was an upgrade from what was there, and I'm glad that they decided to upgrade it again. I mean, that should be the nature of the park when better technology presents itself.
This ride in particular has just gotten so much what I feel like is good attention when it comes to little upgrades here and there at both parks, as well as some of the merch and things that they were doing through Hallmark and everything for this seemed it's my favorite thing about Disney parks, this ride. It is don't miss it no matter what. And if you can do it 3 or 4 times, do it while you're there. Um, and I feel like it's been getting really good attention overall. And I love this is one of those scenes where I like the line delivery. I love the music and seeing like this image. I watched the video earlier today. I think it was well done, well executed, as they say.
Yeah.
Unintended.
I completely I
Yeah.
completely agree with you, Rick. It's just it's my absolute favorite ride, and I have to do it every time. And yeah,
Mhm.
it's a the Haunted Mansion like Disneyland, but the Haunted Mansion is like next to Disneyland has its own like huge like cultural following, like its own like it's a
Mhm.
huge thing within Disneyland, right? Like, and it's just the merchandising is insane. The popularity over the years has just like skyrocketed of this ride. Anything associated with it, like it's just, and that's not even considering the films that they've made. Like just everything outside of that. Like it's such a huge like thing. Um, and I like, yeah, I just adore it. Like everything about it is just. But yeah, I love that they've made small improvements to it over the years. Um, and they've continued to plus it up here and there. And they didn't just add the redo the attic and add this bright animatronic or production or whatever she is. I don't think we really know 100% the details yet. But uh, they redid the outdoor queues. There's a new store outside, a merchandise store. You can buy just Haunted Mansion merchandise, which I have some thoughts about the store itself. It kind of drives me nuts.
You
So
mean it's pre-made feel?
so yeah, it kind of does look like one of those like when you go to Home Depot and you see like a tough shed, like it kind of has that look, yes. But my biggest issue with it is that it's so big and it really blocks the view of the mansion when you're coming back from like
Mm.
Bayou Country as it's called now. Like it just like really blocks the view and it's just a little too big. There's no forced perspective, and it's just a very like
It
I
looks
don't
like it
know.
was plonked down to be a merchandise
Right.
location.
It just doesn't. I feel like maybe they should have blended it into the mansion a little bit, maybe kind of connected it, made it look like a wing, an extension of the house itself.
Yeah, I mean, architecturally, it is not the same style as the mansion. Like, it doesn't look like an outbuilding from the mansion, which is what you would hope to make it
Right.
thematically fit in.
Right. It's supposed to be like a stable kind of thing, like a horse stable sort of
From Lowe's.
barn kind of thing. Yeah. Um, so it's yeah. The
I mean,
inside is beautiful though. I went in I recently went earlier this week when I went into the inside of it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It it's really nicely decorated. I did hear that they bought some some picture on Etsy to put in there.
you mean some of
Um
the also AI generated
yeah.
stuff that, yeah.
But that's gone. When I was in there, like that Etsy picture wasn't there. So I guess they heard people. They always hear the fans like, and stuff like this. So I guess whether or
I
not they
mean,
respond to it.
Florida has had that Memento Mori shop now, which is essentially what this is trying to recreate in Disneyland, which is weird that it never had a dedicated shop for this long. So, it was inevitable that it was going to come because of the popularity of the
Yeah,
ride and the culture that's around it. So I can certainly see why it's there and the
yeah,
necessity to cater to that.
sure.
Also, there are so many things in Disneyland and Disney World that looked awkward when they were first installed, but you get some foliage around it, you get it lived in
Sure.
and some uh, uh, landscaping installed around it, and suddenly it feels like it was there forever. So maybe this was as usual with a lot of the budgetary stuff that Imagineering is always dealing with. Like
Right.
this, we'll get this in and we'll tweak it as we go. You'll see. There'll be some candelabras. There'll be some light fixtures. There'll be some stuff that will personalize and make and plus this thing. But this was just to get it in there, because we need to make merchandise quota for this quarter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the current Disney is very obviously profit driven and merchandise oriented. So I mean, it's not shocking to me that this is there. But I do feel like, this is Disney we're talking about, right? Like what they did for the theme park industry, like back in when the park opened, and I mean, artisans, right, that were able to create this whole like park that was very thematic. And I don't know. I feel like the execution again, I like the thought of it, but the execution could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's the constant push and pull that we're seeing with the parks in recent decades. I mean, it's always been there as far as the budgets, but I think there have been a lot of corners cut to get things built. And we saw corners cut in Indiana Jones ride that have existed forever. If you go through that dark nonsense room,
right,
that should have been something, but no, budget cut. Sorry, ain't gonna happen. So I think it's good that Universal is really now finally in the past 10 years providing a serious point of comparison threat to, hey, this is what happens when you invest a lot in putting the best innovation when it comes to ride design, land theming, immersion. And I think Disney was able to coast for most of its existence, and admittedly great work, but eventually they sort of like, well, we don't have to make this the best e-ticket. It just has to be okay because the competition isn't great.
Yeah,
I'm glad that Universal now is a serious threat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like before COVID, like 10 years ago, like they were really like Disney was like really on their A game with stuff like this when they did like Cars Land and
everything building up to the 60th.
Yeah, it was very solid. Very, I think they were doing lots of great things. But like even maybe before pre-COVID, like, the Star Wars land, as much as I love Star Wars, I've always had like issues with what it the way it was done, I guess, the area it was done, and the effect it had on other attractions that had been there forever.
I do miss that barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I mean more like the Rivers of America being like 3/4 of the size it used to be.
Well, I mean, Florida's getting the shorter end of the stick on that now coming up.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like, it's just like the way that things are going, it just kind of like nothing is really safe. Maybe Disneyland has it a little bit better just in terms of like that's the original park. And, if they really like took out something that, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how they see it or what, obviously the management changes every few years and, people have different visions and different things they want to do. And so, I mean, it's always in flux. One other point I wanted to make on the Haunted Mansion store. This is actually kind of cool inside. When I was in there looking at it, I was told that this, the lamp and then the crystal ball are originals that used to be in the mansion up until they made Madame Leota start floating. That was the original crystal ball that was in there. And then the light was the original light that hung above that crystal ball. And now they're in this shop. You can actually walk up to it and get up close and personal with it, which I have mixed feelings on that too. And then I really love this little, I mean, it's kind of like an Easter egg thing, but this portrait of Imagineer Leota Toombs is just really cool. I love this. I want a copy of this. Like, it's just a really cool portrait. Goals. Anyway.
But where would you hang it? Where do you have the space to hang it?
I would probably hang it in my guest bedroom. That's what
cover the window behind you. Have a Leota behind you during all the streams.
Oh, that would be cool. then I'd be completely in darkness. I'd love that. Anyhow. So yeah, I guess another thing, well, Rick, you were recently at Disney, and I know you wanted to talk a little bit about your experience there. I think it was right before the holidays. Is that correct that you were there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Tell us
mean,
a little.
we always have a great time, but I think it was Muppet related that I reached out to you, I think, and I was just saying, man, I just got back from Epcot that day, and it stuck with me that they have that experimental lab where you can do the pickle milkshake. I know a lot of people hate it. Might have been one of my favorite things I had the entire trip. Outside of Narcoossee's, like just real like weird Epcot food stuff. But because the Muppets are kind of featured there, and it was my kid and I were looking for Muppet pins during the day, as my wife was drinking around the world and whatnot, and it was on the lips of multiple cast members how taken back they were. I think the news had just come out about the Muppets 3D movie and the going away and all that hubbub, and I didn't realize how, like, seeing cast members talk about it in such a, like, sad way. I don't remember that. Other things have kinda gone away, but I don't remember having that many experiences throughout one day in one park where multiple people were talking about it. But I think because we were looking for the pins and we found a few, like, I think we bought maybe 2 that day. Because we were looking for the pins, it came up a few times. So I remember thinking about that, and I'm like, man, I think they're just as upset about the Muppets as we are. My family loves the Muppets, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I was a kid watching the Muppet Show, but I also watched Muppet Babies way later, and then even the most recent Muppet related TV stuff. And my kids grown up watching some of it. And my wife she was born in '83, so she grew up with Muppets in one shape or another. So we're all big fans, and it's something about it in a Disney park that always just I love it. It's not just nostalgia; it just feels good. Anyway, I always like puppet type stuff too. I love the Merry Menagerie that they do at Animal Kingdom for the holidays now. Love it. I spend a lot of time taking pictures and interacting with the cast members.
A lot of my
So
friends
anyway,
are they puppeteers, the cast members working that. And
yeah,
also, if you remember, did you ever see the Liberty Square Muppet show?
yes,
They
yes,
were the performers for that. Incredible performers. You don't become a cast member and work at Disney in any capacity, any of the parks, because they're not treated particularly well. And the public can be absolutely horrible. You don't put up with the
yeah,
stuff that you put up with unless you have some fundamental affection for Disney and
yeah,
working and what those parks mean, to the point that you will block out all of the negative things that are associated with those jobs, and the fact that they are very much struggle. They're people are not making great money
yeah,
to do those jobs, and are doing long hours to make other people's experiences magical and wonderful, and they are not appreciated enough for what they do. So I think yes, and a lot of people have deep emotional attachments to those attractions, particularly if they work
hmm,
those attractions. And a lot of people on their days off will go into the park and enjoy those attractions. So I think yeah, there's a
yeah,
deep. It's like hearing they're tearing down your old high school. Uh,
yeah,
it's a lot of those. If you have they have a deep emotion. That's their park because they infuse themselves into and appreciate and love that thing, or else you would not put up with the public the way that
yeah,
they have to put up with. And I know both of you have seen, and I saw it even because I haven't been back post pandemic, but I saw pre pandemic how much the public's uh care and respect for the parks and that experience and for everyone else's experience around them was degrading.
yeah.
and it is not a fun thing to deal with. You know, it's not to see cast members having to deal with, oh, there's a fist fight because, you know, people can drink too much alcohol in Epcot over the course of a hot summer day. And
Yeah.
all the, like, the thing I'll tell when people would ask me for advice, like, I'm going with my family for the first time. It's like, take breaks.
Yeah.
If there's any member of your party that's feeling tired, stop. Because you dragging them along is not going to be the key to a happy day. Also, if you overplan the day because you have to do this, this, and this because you spent so much money on this, you are going to spend the entire time just a ball of stress that's ready to explode. Because if there's one thing the parks swiftly teach you, is that you cannot plan for anything, because suddenly this ride is down unexpectedly, or
Yes.
that restaurant is closed,
Yep.
or something has happened, or that piece of transportation to get you there to that thing in time is not going to happen. And if you can't roll with it, there are so many meltdowns, and some of those meltdowns come from stress or exhaustion.
I've gotten really good at planning Disney vacations. I've realized I hear my wife telling like other parents when they're talking about Disney, and hey, we go every year, and my husband plans everything, and I'm like, I do. I feel like I've gotten really good, and I have had some perfect Disney vacations. I've had some that had some ride closures, like you say. Every once in a while, you get that, but I've had some perfect ones too, which is awesome when it happens.
But you got to be prepared to roll with it. Like,
Oh
it's not
yeah,
the end of the world if you
yeah,
walk up to Soarin' and it's closed and you had a fast
yeah,
pass, and suddenly, just, you know what, the next. And I also tell people,
yeah,
be opportunistic. If you walk by a ride and there's no line, go on the ride. Just
yeah,
walk onto that ride and take advantage of the thing that's there. Because you could spend also that entire day looking for the best scenario and wind up doing nothing. Or just one or two rides because you waited 17 hours in the one ride, rather than taking advantage of a bunch of different rides. And if the other one opens up, great.
Yeah, that's another gripe of mine is the lightning lane situation. Is just
yeah,
fast pass. I know at the time TV would say, well, they did away with fast pass and everybody would just wait in lines and nobody would have to wait for fast pass to get through. But lightning lane is like in rides that it shouldn't be at. It's like at Haunted Mansion, or it's not Haunted Mansion, it's at Pirates of the Caribbean. It's at just rides that are high capacity rides that don't need a Little Mermaid at California Adventure. It's like those are omnimover rides that are just constantly moving. Like,
they're meant to be people eaters,
right? And it's just when like the Pirates, I think, is the most obvious one, because when you look at it, the lines have never been this long. Like, they have to set up ropes that go all the way, like, really far. Like, it's the most like obvious thing that there's a huge line for that ride compared to any other ride, because it's not really meant to have a line that long, because it's meant to just like keep going. But with Lightning Lane, it's like they have to pause it so Lightning Lane can go in and then resume, and the line just gets really long. And it's just, I can maybe see like the incentive of it, and I understand they're wanting to upcharge for it. They never charged for fast pass, right? That was included, but now they, with this, I guess I can kind of see it a little bit, but the implementation of it needs to be looked at, because there's some rides that have it that just should not have it at all.
Because fast pass was introduced for crowd management. Lightning Lane was introduced for revenue generation. And they don't care about the ride experience. That is not the top of their list of concern of people going, this is a horrible experience. Are we making money off of it?
Yeah.
And I think so much of that, you've seen the erosion of so many perks and things that would make it enjoyable in the park. So you're not stressed about the money or the chase, or are we getting our money's worth the whole time? And I think that's why you're seeing an erosion of attendance that is going to be generational, because it was Disney park visits for, certainly my generation thought of it as it was the aspirational thing that was attainable for a family to do. I had a neighbor family, and they had a giant glass, back when they were glass, water jar for like a water dispenser. And their whole thing was, we're going to throw all our pocket change in it. When it's full, then we cash it all in, and that's our Disney vacation. And it took like, multiple years.
Yeah.
And then they had their full jar, and it could afford a great Disney World vacation for them. Now you're not looking at it being an easily attainable thing for folks.
Yeah.
And so because it's that, and because you have to put so
Mhm.
much more money into it, the stakes and that stress is so much higher for people going down there, that people have that hair trigger temper about things, and that hair trigger disappointment in
Mhm.
it. And I think it's privileged for any of us who have been multiple times
Yeah.
to appreciate not having that stress, because you're not so concerned. This is my one and only time in my life I'll ever be here.
Right.
And I think that's the one and done aspect that they've sort of pushed themselves steadily into, has made it the niche park it was never supposed to be on both coasts.
Right.
It was always supposed to be the place that you could go as a family and enjoy, and it's Disney theme, and Disney's getting all your money, and they're keeping their IP evergreen. And it should have been a thing where, hey, we'll come back next year. Now it's, we can't ever come back because we spent all this money and we can't ever do this again.
Right.
And we had to chase everything. We had to chase. We you have to have a degree in software management and time management to figure out the app now to book everything.
Yeah. That's the other thing too, is, it's very technology driven, which, it's fine. Like, I can, I can manage that just fine. But, there's a lot of folks that, you see in the park, like maybe they're struggling a little bit with it. They're having trouble with
Mhm.
the app, or they don't know like how to do a mobile order, and
face down on a phone all day.
right. And that's the
Mhm.
other thing. Like, I mean, I don't want to be, I'm going to Disneyland to not be on this all day. Right. Like, honestly, like
Mhm.
I'll take some pictures and, but I want to go to like escape everything. And that includes like this. I don't need to be looking at this, draining the battery, competing with cellular service with everybody else that's there. Cause that's what happens. The phone gets really hot, and it's just not, it's not ideal.
Juggling those lightning lanes. What has availability? What's going on right now? Where do
Yeah.
I have
Oh, what
to
do we
be?
go on next? So, oh, let me connect to your thing.
Also, our reservation's coming up for our lunch reservation. We got to hurry up and get over there. So we can't go on that ride because we got to be there within, or else, there's going to be a
yeah,
penalty on the reservation.
yeah, it's definitely very, the technology, but, in some cases it kind of comes in handy, like the food mobile orders, that's kind of nice if you
Mhm.
can, if you know when you're going to be picking it up, and, I mean, that's not terrible, but, um, despite them charging, all the money they're charging now, like it's, if you go during the holidays, it's like I think it's like $206 for like a ticket, like for certain days during the holiday season. And then the off season, like a week later, it was like $104 or something. So, um, but despite them raking in that money, charging more than ever on food, charging more than ever on lightning lane and tickets and merchandise, there's a declining that's going on in terms of the quality of a lot of these things. I think, if you go for the seasonal food offerings, I tend to be pretty happy with that. But the standards that are like always there have kind of declined a little bit. Just the standard like food that they always have. But what bothers me the most though is to see like a bunch of little maintenance things that are just neglected, just for, I don't know. I mean, they're charging more, they're making more money, but the biggest example that I point to is that there's this amazing the Sleeping Beauty walkthrough. Inside, you can go up into the castle that it opened back in the 50s. They redid it in the 70s, and then it closed after 9/11, and then it didn't open up again until I think 2008. And they did a really lovely job redoing it. Like it's always one of my favorite things. Like since they
They have
reopened it.
projection mapping in there now, and
It's gorgeous, but for the last like year, they've just let it go to hell. Like honestly,
so the
there's so
effects are
many
not working,
effects
and
in there that aren't working. The light bulbs have been off. Like they're just not replacing the light bulbs. there's a scene at the end where there's all these roses and, like she gets kissed by the prince and, it's the happy ending, but the lights aren't completely coming on. Like the Pepper's ghost effect isn't working right. And then if you look at because they're fake roses and they're covered in like a layer of dust, like they haven't been replaced since like 2008. So it's just like the little things like that. This isn't like a big fancy expensive attraction, right? Just like a little thing, and maybe that's part of the reason they're neglecting it. But it's always really scary for me to see things like that, because then on one hand I wonder, well, are they planning to not keep it much longer? Are they, I don't know. But that's not the only instance, right? That's a big one. That's the one I can point to the most, because I see it all the time. But there's just randomly like light bulbs that are out. There's trash cans that are overflowing. There's you see they have the Pixie Hollow. There's like a little pond there, and that has like a half inch like of sediment on the bottom. Just little things that like 10 years ago would not have been issues. And then they have these ambitious plans of doing this big expansion, doing the new Marvel Land, and it's like, why not fix what's already there and needs some TLC before going on to all these other things. So I'm a little concerned about all the maintenance type things that seem to be neglected.
But I think that comes back to how you're treating your employees, and are you properly staffed, and are you not properly staffed because you're burning people out by not having the proper staffing, by understaffing and underpaying is the refrain in so many sectors of so many industries right now. And in the theme parks, so much of that also depends, again, I've mentioned that emotional investment of the people working it, because the one thing that Disney would foster is, having a pride working there to keep it clean. Like that was part of the thing, is like, we're maintaining this thing. We're cast members. We're not employees. We're part of the magic. We're part of all of this. And as they slowly tamp that down and undervalued and underappreciated those cast members, you see things slipping, because if you're disaffected, then maybe you're not going to put in that extra effort. And, I perfectly understandable. I do not fault the cast members at all for feeling that they're not appreciated in those things. And it shows. And that goes strictly back to treating them properly for the amazing work that they do. Because you two have been going to the parks enough. You've seen cast members and what they have when empowered and supported to do, what they can do for people who are attending those parks.
Oh yeah, we've had some of the best customer service experiences I've ever had have been at Disney. When you get a great cast member that is really into the job, it's next level.
And the thing that I think I said it last time I was on, Victoria, was that if you have the ability, if you go to the park, stop by Main Street on your way out of Magic Kingdom or Disneyland, or or whatever the center is at the front of whatever park you're in, leave a comment card calling out the cast members. Like if you have that great experience, stop by. It takes you a couple of minutes. Just ask, can I have a comment card? Because I would like to point out a great employee, because it is very important when it comes to assessment, and those things are because so few people take the time to do it. It has a big meaning. If someone has taken the time to make your vacation extra special, take a couple, and I know it's the end of the day and you're exhausted and you just want to leave, but it's, you know what?
It's worth it.
You've been in Magic Kingdom when you look at that mass of people trying to make a run for the monorails and the boats, and you're going to be standing waiting for them to come anyway. Chill out on Main Street. It's open an hour after the park closes anyway, because they want to get your money shopping.
Sure.
Spend that time waiting for that to thin out, so you have a nice, easy ride out by just going Main Street, fill out that card, sit on a bench, wait for the crowd to thin out, enjoy the end of the night there. But it is so important to
the last time we were there, it took about 25 minutes, but it was well worth it. And we talked about two cast members that had given us like just unbelievable treatment. But we also let them know that we've been telling everybody about how amazing the Christmas party is for a long time, many years. It's my favorite thing to do outside of Haunted Mansion is the Christmas party. And this year the capacity was upped, and I didn't need to do math to see it. And so we complained a little bit about the capacity being so crazy, because those tickets are so expensive. I want to say for three of us to go to the Christmas party, it was 600 and something just
Yeah.
for the Christmas
I was
party,
about to
which
say
is
it's
like
like it's over 200 a
for
ticket now,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, and it still was amazing. It's still amazing, but compared to like the last 4 or 5 years, that Christmas party, we could see the capacity, and we had 3 rows of people. We always before the parade, the main parade, we always get there an hour and a half before and get a spot, and the rest of us, who someone sits there, and the other two, we go do our stuff, collect cookies, and
Yeah,
bring
go get
back
your
and
snacks
hot
and your
chocolate.
cocoa and
Yeah, we
yeah.
do all that. And this year it was tough. It was almost 2 hours this year to make sure that we got a good spot on Main Street. And we had 3 rows of people behind us, all trying to penetrate to get to
Yeah.
the front. So we complained about
Which
that,
is
but
also what those ticketed events were not supposed to be. It was supposed to be,
exactly,
this
they're
is a
supposed to be low
casual,
capacity.
like if you're gonna pay that amount of money, and it's a special thing when you do it, like that's an investment you make to not have what you're dealing with the rest of the day. But as ever,
Yeah,
it's that money creep
trying to get that
of,
money.
can we get a little more? Can we get a little more? What's the breaking point? Because also it on this is the same thing with so many things that people complain about when it comes to companies and treatment is they'll do it until there's a breaking point. So if you absorb it, and Disney depends so much on how desperately park fans will overlook, just because they'll keep coming back. They'll complain, but they'll
Yeah,
keep coming back.
yeah,
And as long as that's the case, Disney's going to keep pushing that further and further down into the how bad can we make the experience before they break?
Yeah, it's true.
one of the positive things I wanted to mention about the lightning lanes is this was the first year where you could get your 3 first experiences booked 7 days before you get there. And that was amazing because I'm usually the one that's on the phone and walking and trying to, book everything and make sure it's the perfect day. And not having to do that for like the first half of the day or more was amazing. So
Now, do you
I
stay on
do like,
property?
yeah, yeah, staying on property. You get it's 7 days
But see, but that's again what they've done to
before you.
people is it used to be what, 60 days out, you used to be able to do that to get
Oh,
your
you can
fast
do that.
passes if you're
Oh yeah,
staying
the
on
fast
property,
passes.
meaning
Yeah,
they've degraded what the offering is so much so that you're like, it's so great to have 7 days out. They used to give you 60 days out to do
yeah.
these things, but
What I like though is that they took the technology and introduced it, and over the course, I think it was less than 3 years, they figured out that if you're staying on property, it is a better experience if you can just book it ahead. What I
right.
like is they made an improvement on fairly new technology that they've been using now on the app because the app is everything. And I didn't have to be on my phone the first half of the day. It was just
But they did
it was
have
much
that, is what I'm
much
saying, is
better.
they when they introduced the app, that was a thing you could book way ahead of time if you were staying on property. And so they've now degraded that experience down to the 7 days. I mean, I remember when you used, the parking, or if you had a reservation for a meal at a hotel,
Yeah,
then you got parking, it was covered because you had a reservation for
yeah,
that meal. All those things they've chipped away at, and
yeah. The
they
60
replaced
days are
it with
just
a lesser
restaurants
thing that
now.
they've now they've now acclimated people to go, oh, now you're only stepping on us a little bit now. Thank you. Thank you for the now better than the worst they could be, but not what it used to be. It's just
Yeah,
it's there was a thing someone had discovered a while ago, and I think it's now 15 years old. It was like one of the original sales videos, like the VHSs you used to get, that was advertising all the perks you could get by staying on property at the Disney park. It's online.
Oh, yeah.
Go check it out. It is hilarious to see all the things that were part of a Disney World vacation package of staying in park that are gone. Just so gone that it is hilarious. The things that, because it used to be like, oh, even the shuttle service from the airport.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you experienced that. And you know what a difference that made to families getting there. I mean, because Disney was going to get your money there, and they get you to the parks faster to get your money faster originally. A lot of these decisions were not made with any really depth of thought other than instant economic gratification, and not how it ultimately means less money in the long run the more they do things like this.
I would imagine it's really hard to, especially currently. So they have all these things that are coming up, these up and coming. Villains Land comes to mind as something like I've been wanting to see that for at least, it feels like 20 years. Maybe it hasn't been, but I feel like even as far back as like Pleasure Island, they were talking about Villains Land. That's what I remember. And I want to live to see that. I want to see what they do with that. That's probably the main thing that I'm interested in now, is to see how that works at Disney. And especially with Universal having the Universal monsters, not just at Halloween Horror Nights, but inside of Epic Universe.
Yeah, giving them a land.
I love the competition. Is exciting for me right now. Like, competition's always good, but it's exciting currently to me to see what happens.
I'm confident in Disney to step up, because I still think that there's an innate arrogance about their position, and knowing how forgiving that fan base is, the long-term fan base for the park, to just ultimately accept it. Like, you look at what have been the slam dunk in the original plans for Galaxy's Edge, and how much of that experience was carved out to make the Halcyon. Like, there was supposed to be an actual restaurant in Galaxy's Edge. There was supposed to be entertainment in Galaxy's Edge. And then they carved that out for experience, which now is gone. So there's now nothing of that.
Right.
Whereas, you look at what Universal did with their Potter stuff. There's live entertainment going on in there all the time. That's just atmospheric stuff. And Disney used to be really good at the atmospheric stuff. And I'm curious, because Victoria, you've gone to Disneyland long enough. Disneyland used to be absolutely incredible, for there was something going on live entertainment wise.
Yeah.
In every corner of the park. Here, you got a barbershop quartet over here, but then you have a marching band down there, but then you also have some jugglers over here, or you have a comedy troupe that's doing something over here. Every part of the park was alive with something, and characters roaming around constantly, and you couldn't get around that park without feeling that there was something there. And slowly you saw contracts being canceled, bands being shrunk, live acts disappearing. And that's like a hollowing out of the magic of like rounding that corner and seeing a musical performance going on and standing there and enjoying that for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that's really lacking these days, at least at Disneyland, is the live entertainment. Like, there used to be like the big Aladdin like production in California Adventure. It was an amazing show. In the Hyperion Theater, and then over at Disneyland there was another show going on at the Fantasyland Theater, and then they had Billy Hill and the Hillbillies in Frontierland, and like none of that's there now. Like there's just nothing going on in any of those venues, and you have these huge crowds and all the expense of going these days, but like the live entertainment is just really like pales in comparison to even like, gosh, probably like right before the pandemic, even, it had already been on declining at that point, but even in comparison to then, like it's kind of unfortunate that all of that's gone.
Yeah. Or like Magic Kingdom I'm sure that you saw when you would Brown and Sunday, the piano player was outside of Casey's, just playing at the piano in Magic Kingdom, and just those little magical moments that the parks were really known for just have been slowly whittled away, and people going today don't know about, and that's to Disney's benefit, because you can't complain about something you don't know existed if you never experienced it.
Yeah.
But there is a loss, and also the amazing talent of the performers that you would experience in all those little settings
Right.
is underappreciated as well. Speaking of the Hyperion, a friend of mine was one of the genies in that show. And if anyone likes Super Ego or listens to Conan's podcast, the Team Coco stuff, Matt Gorley was one of the performers of that show. You're talking in Frontierland, and did that live work. My pal Mark Gagliardi, who was the one of the genies, was also the mayor of Main Street for the 50th anniversary. And all those little accent moments in the parks, it's really missed to not have. I think that's why people got so excited about that Deadpool story time, that somehow found a way to exist and was a funny show for the little blip, because it's now gone, right? Didn't I say that it ended with the holiday, like the holidays extended it a bit for a holiday version?
Probably. And the red car trolley disappearing too, just like little that's like I said, like back that when they did Cars Land, Buena Vista Street, like all that, like that was like a big thing, because California Adventure was not good right out the gate, right? So they invested all this money, like I think it was like close to $1 billion that they put into it, and then it's like, oh well, now we want to do Marvel instead. So this really kinetic element is going as a result of that. It's just yeah, I don't know. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it just speaks, but it seems like a lot of Disneyland, California Adventure in particular, always just feels like Band-Aids. Like it's okay. Well, what about this? What about this? Is this better? Is this fixing it? Is this making it better? Is this?
Right.
There's not. But that park was never well planned from the beginning, because of all of the weird budgetary stuff that happened with that park.
Yeah, if they would have done Westcott like they originally were considering doing, like that would have been cool. But
yeah, I mean, it opened with a lot of off the shelf rides that also were poorly themed, and a lot of, I mean, we don't have to talk about Superstar Limo.
I was just thinking that.
That was always a half-assed park, and the fact that they were able to do as much as they did with the California retheming of it, when they really leaned into, okay, well, let's do the Cathay Circle, let's have this, let's lean into this telling a story about Disney coming. That I think reinvigorated a lot of that park and added the charm that it did not open with, when it was like, oh, this still feels like it's the parking lot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. But no, I've been going a little more frequently. I've renewed I haven't had an annual pass in 10 years, but they went on sale in November, and I was like, I have friends that work at the parks, and they're able to generally help me get in, but I don't like bothering people either. So, I was like, I'm just going to buy another pass, first time in 10 years. So I have been going a little bit more quite a bit more than I used to.
And it takes the stress off your visits, right? So you don't feel like you have to get your money's worth because you're not going frequently.
Right. And I mean,
so you
it's
can chill.
Yeah. So I went before, I went on my own, during right before Christmas. I went during the holidays. And it was, I had a good time, but it was so busy. I was there the whole day. I did an all dayer, and I only did 2 rides the whole time because it was so busy. But to be fair, I was kind of there more just for the vibes, right? For the holidays and all that. Did a holiday tour.
Which is the best way to experience the parks.
Yeah. And then I went for my birthday this week. I went on my birthday, and
did you build another droid?
I didn't build a droid. I built something else, which I'll show during new
Okay.
acquisition in just a minute here, which I should probably get to here pretty quickly. But yeah. So I mean, but now I feel a little Disneyed out. Like I need a little bit of a break again before I go back. Like I just kind of feel need a little bit of a break. But yeah. So I mean, I could keep talking about this for quite a bit longer, but you know, we have been live for almost 3 hours, which is kind of hard to believe. It doesn't feel like 3 hours, but that's what the clock says. So I'm
It was
gonna
a
trust
packed
it.
topic list.
Yeah, I know. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Then I guess we'll go ahead and jump into new acquisitions for this episode of Cantina Social Hour. So it's gonna pull that.
New acquisitions.
All right, so my friends here in the audience, those that are still with us after all the Disney talk, please feel free to share your new acquisitions with us in the chat. I will read through them after we share our new acquisitions. I did sneak away to get the other ones that were in the other rooms. So I have them now. But does anyone want to volunteer? Either Rick or Ken, when do you want to volunteer to do your show and tell first?
I'm going to volunteer, Rick.
Well, I don't have anything. I can talk through it, but I don't have it all here, so I can show it. I get a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so I'm only going to name a few things because I know we've been on here for a while. So I'm only going to name a few. Since the Cantina was closed for the holidays, I know I got the Hot Toys chopper, and I did get 2 of the Night Troopers from Ahsoka. Got those in. I love all the Ahsoka stuff, and I knew I would. I was excited about it, but I went ahead and paid off Sabine. I saw some people already have her, but I paid her off and paid Hera off so that as soon as they release at Sideshow, that's who I order my stuff from. I'll get those. But so that shelf's coming along, and that's probably been the thing that I walk into my space and I look at the most. Those just make me super happy. And they did a really good job with Thrawn. I don't know if we have talked about that in the past, but that Thrawn figure is amazing. It's like they miniaturized him, and just really now I can put him on my shelf.
He's missing the cigarette though.
Yeah. And I know we all got the Ghost. Most of us got it over the holiday, and that's spectacular. That brings me so much joy. And then just little stuff. I've gotten in a lot of Motu Origins. I do that line, and it takes up a significant amount of the room that you can't see because of Eternia and Grayskull and Snake Mountain and all the Fright Zone and the play sets. But I think I got in 4 of those this week. I got in Hordak and Triclops, all cartoon collection stuff, Ram Man, some of those guys. And then I also cherry pick McFarlane DC Multiverse. So they just put out a Shazam figure that I absolutely love. It's very classic looking. And Wildcat from JSA.
Are you getting
those are the things I've been messing with this week.
Are you getting the Christopher Reeve Superman from McFarlane?
I'm not getting it. I've got the Hot Toys version.
Yes.
I'm really particular about likenesses on.
He seems a little gaunt in the McFarlane, which is a shame because it would be great to have a definitive version of that.
Yeah, like I'm more into the comic book stuff with McFarlane, and then if I want a likeness, then I'm Hot Toys about. I just
wish they weren't their own scale. I mean, I would love if they were in scale with Marvel Legends. That would be so much fun and further incentivize me to dive into it.
Yeah, there's so many DC lines that I've collected through the years. Icons was a line that I collected almost all of them for, and they were really nice. That was the
DC Direct?
Yeah, it was the DC Direct Icons line. They were a little bit smaller, but I love that line. And it ended. And I expect that this multiverse line, which I finally started to put teams together, the JSA, I think I have like 5 members now. The Green Lanterns, I finally have like 6 members. So I'm expecting that to end any day because it's just a rule of law when you collect. So who knows?
Nice. But yeah, you're right. Thrawn is really good. He's one of the ones that I filtered into the when I redid the detox, and he's by himself with some random other figures because I don't have Sabine yet either, and I'm excited to get her. But yeah, they did a good job with Thrawn.
Did you get the Bad Batch, Victoria?
Nope, I didn't do any of the Bad Batch.
I have Tech left to. I put Tech was on a payment plan, and I saw he finally finishes I think it's the last day of this month or close to the last day of this month. But I did get
not ship them out yet.
I got them all, and I love the Bad Batch. I love Rebels is probably my favorite Star Wars. After all this time, I've been saying Empire Strikes Back was my favorite thing in Star Wars for so long, and it is still my favorite movie. But Rebels has become my favorite Star Wars. I would have never predicted it at all. But by the end of I've watched it 3 times all the way through now. And Clone Wars is really good as well. That's part of that world to me, but
That's not an easy thing to rewatch either.
yeah, it's Clone Wars is so long. I mean, you need a lot of time to
So long
get
and wildly uneven.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I like the Bad Batch figures. They turned out looking pretty good.
Same things will never get an Omega, which is kind of weird.
I don't know if we're gonna get an Omega for the 1/6 stuff.
Hot Toys, I don't think has ever done a child character, so I'm wondering if there's something about they don't want to deal with that for probably understandable reasons.
They're doing that Ahsoka though. You know, from the young Ahsoka, they're doing that.
But she's but they're doing like the late teen version, so they're not doing right.
I forget the actress that played her in the Ahsoka series recently.
But yeah, we'll have the Bad Batch and not have the central character really to the story of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I mean
it's always tough to have one missing part. But as a toy collector, totally used to it, right?
Yeah, well, they're still doing better than TVC when it comes to the Bad Batch.
They are, which is crazy at that price point, right?
Yeah. So okay, Ken, what about you? What have you added to your collection?
Well, I got the Luke, which came in, and Basil came in, and Leia all came in at the same time. In Black Series. So I have not gotten the TVC is supposed to be shipping soon. Something I got after we talked, but I do want to show off because it's now I guess it's parks related.
Yeah, let me put you
from Gentle Giant.
Ooh, there you go.
Which is probably one of the best Chewbacca's they've done.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think this is still available on their web store. But yeah, I mean, if I never thought we'd get this. The fact that there is holiday special merch.
Yeah.
To this extent, you know, and also there's a nice companion piece to having it in TVC. Which I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get another figure this year. I thought for sure that they would follow that up and keep it going.
Yeah, I told him I asked him at Comic-Con last year if they would do Leia now that they were coming out with the new Leia sculpt, and they're like, oh, you never know, it's, you know, we can't confirm, you know, their usual spiel that they give, but I mean that would have been a really easy one to do.
Like, I'll never tell. Also got in the 2-pack finally for Yoda. Great to know that he can pose properly. Let's see. I did want to recommend if you know, since we all have collections that need to be dusted frequently, and for a long time I was all compressed air cans for most of it, which is not sustainable and not cheap. But the problem was that all the other fans that I had tried, like rechargeable ones, were never as powerful as a compressed air can. So what was the point? But finally found a nice rechargeable blower that actually works properly and is super strong and was super inexpensive. I talked about it on the stream I did last night, but it's on Amazon. People can find it. There's a link in that stream, but it has 3 settings. Let's see if I can Turn it on. If you could hear that, it also just blew everything off my desk. But it is, because it's rechargeable, it is much better than the air cans. So for having to frequently clean, that was good. And then if anyone's been playing Marvel Rivals and knows about the character of Jeff the Landshark, I've been printing out some Jeff the Landsharks to do. So these are all uncleaned prints so far, but doing that. And shout out to Kelly Thompson, who co-created Jeff the Landshark. Gesundheit. And the last thing I will show is a request for a thing that we've never gotten and a line that I would like to see. Since we were talking Disney, we've never gotten a line of Disney figures. Like proper, nicely sculpted, accurately sculpted, just a line of Disney characters in action figure scale. And the thing that brought that up is I found from the early 80s a Mickey Mouse that I got at Disneyland that I actually was on my first customizations because I built him a tuxedo out of felt.
Nice.
With tails. But just give us a line of Disney character action figures, sort of like what Palisades did with the Muppet line.
Yeah.
The only way
we
that
could definitely use some of those.
the only way that I would bite is because I've been bitten on that too many times. Is I would want to know that I want to know all the figures are doing, and I want to know that they're going to actually come out, and I can actually finish the line, which I'll never get. So
the only way that they could do that, which would make sense, is your wave 1 is your Fab 5. And if they go deeper characters beyond that, fine. But you got your Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, Donald as your initial offering. Because if it's one and done, then at least you got those, and you can't say that you didn't get the main 5.
I'm still mad that I was very. It almost happened that we got Rescuers figures from Super 7, and I saw them, and I will never have them because Disney took the license back. So I'm never going to get those.
Super 7s had issues, so I understand why maybe the license was a little dicey.
Yeah, I was so close to having them both. They were going to be so great on my show.
So the closest now you've gotten for your Bernard and Bianca is the McDonald's ornaments.
I have a lot of ornaments
that came out in the late 80s. The flocked ones.
Yes.
Which are great sculpts. They are the best representations of those characters that we have.
Yeah. Disney has done a good job the last 3 years on there's been an ornament or two for Rescuers. I think there's 4 or 5 now total. I've gotten 3 out of the 5. But
Hallmark has done some great sculpts for their Disney line.
This is these are the sketch. I think they've all been the sketchbook ornaments.
Oh, the sketchbooks ones. The parks have been really good too.
All of these came from the parks.
Like they did a really good Prince John.
Not just the original movie, but both movies. So I feel like that's pretty good for the Rescuers,
Yeah.
Getting that many ornaments in just a few years. So.
But are you going to buy a Todd and Copper when they come out? Are you going to really support the deep cuts? Are you?
What's that?
Are you going to get a Todd and Copper if those come out?
Maybe. I'd say maybe.
So Fox and the Hound, a bridge too far.
All right, guys, we got to wrap it up. But let me go ahead and show my acquisitions. I'll go through them really quickly here. So all right, I do have a fair little number here, but I'm gonna try to go as fast as I can. I'm gonna start with what my mom got me for Christmas. So sometime last year when they announced Street Sharks are coming back, I was doing a stream and I was like, that's one of the few things that I really wanted as a kid I never got. My mom happened to be watching that episode of Cantina Social Hours. So one of the things she got me for Christmas, or two of the things she got me for Christmas, were these two Street Sharks right here. This is, they have the name Slash and then Jab. So thanks again, Mom, for finally filling that 30-some-year-old hole in my collection. The other thing she grabbed me was Walmart had these for like $15, so she got me this IG-11 with the Anzellans and Grogu Black Series. So thanks again, Mom, for that. I have had a few, I know I say it all the time. I'm not like huge into Black Series, but not anymore. I used to buy them all, but of course, when they're doing a brand new classic Luke, I've got to pick that up. When they're doing a brand new Princess Leia, I've got to make sure I get that. And because they're not doing a TVC, like they're not going as far into Acolyte and TVC as they have been for Black Series, I did buy those Black Series figures. So I recently got Bernestra. And then I wish she had the light whip. That's the only thing that she doesn't have. I wish she had. And then I did get Basil for whatever reason. So
because he's fun.
Because he's fun, and they're never going to do him in TVC. Also, I don't even remember pre-ordering this, but I guess I did. So I'm like, okay, well. So this is Dagan Guerra, I guess his name is. I'm still working. I just started this game like last month, so I'm only a little bit into it. Mattel Jurassic, I mentioned a lot of things have been coming out, and I've got a couple here. So this is the Scorpius Rex. This was one of the villain dinos from Camp Cretaceous. So this is part of the Ultimate Damage line through Walmart, which means that it has like damage effects. So it does that thing. You can move the tail too, I think. Or no, maybe you can. Maybe you can't. Yes, it's pretty neat. It's kind of weird that it lights up, but they've been doing that for the last couple of years. There's also a new Indoraptor. Of course, this is from Fallen Kingdom, but now there's an Ultimate Damage version. So same thing. It's actually really cool looking. It's I think it's a repaint and a retool from one that they did a couple of years ago. Which had more of a blue color. This one's black, so it's more film accurate. And then this was kind of the big thing that came out in the last like week or so from Chaos Theory. Is this Darius and Baryonyx Peril Pack is what they're calling it. So if you watch that show, there is like a white Baryonyx that only has one eye, and they did a good job replicating that here. It also comes with a Monolophosaurus. And it comes with the Darius figure. I really like the paint scheme on this. It's got a very pearlescent sort of thing that isn't really coming across on camera, but it's really pretty. All right, Disney, because I was there, they happened to, on the day that I went, on my birthday, they happened to unveil a brand new sipper cup themed to the Haunted Mansion. So that is the Bride, to coincide with the new Bride animatronic. This thing's pretty cool. It was a little pricey. It's a sipper cup, so it came with a drink, not inside it, but you could drink out of it if you wanted to, because it has the little like straw piece up there. But it's actually pretty neat. So it looks kind of like a candle. Looks kind of like a statue. My husband was joking, it looks like a religious statue. But it's got a button, so if you push the button, she lights up. It's a little bright in here, but you can see her candelabra is lit up, and she's kind of pulsating like a blue light. You press it again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you get the beating heart. It's kind of a weird sound, though, because it sounds a little bit like
stomping feet. Like We Will Rock You. She's doing We Will Rock You.
On top of that, though, there's also like a crackling. Like here, I'll just put it up here.
Like a digital, like it sounds really processed.
Yeah, there's like some crackles in there.
Yeah, it's walking on a stone path.
Yeah, like you hear the heartbeat, but then in between that, there's like just little crackles.
We.
Anyway, she's really cool, and I heard she sold out within 2 days. So I'm glad that I got one.
I love a lot of their sippers. I gotta admit, they put more effort into their sipper cups than a lot of the stuff. I
have the Hatbox Ghost sipper too, so she'll go perfectly with him. And then I did get the Ghost. That was a whole headache because I was out of town for the holidays, and the Ghost came in, of course, when I was out of town for the holidays, despite me doing a FedEx hold, they still tried to deliver it while I wasn't here. And they said, well, we'll try again the next day. I knew I wasn't going to be there. And then they were going to try again one more time. I wasn't going to be there. So I called. They said, oh, we'll hold it. You can come pick it up. I'm like, lady, I drive a Mustang. This box probably isn't going to fit in the car. So I was able to get him to, I was even going to pay to have him rescheduled online, and I couldn't do it. But ultimately it worked out. They were able to reschedule it for a different day. It didn't come on that day, but it came on a different day that I was here. So the ghost is here. I have not opened it. I don't know where it's going to go. I haven't even messed with that yet because I've been doing other things. But I did order another set of the figures, as I said I was going to do, as I've done for every HasLab, because I've only bought one of every HasLab up until the Cantina. But for the ghost, it was the same thing. So I bought all the figures, a second set to open on eBay. They were not cheap at all. But you know, I did the math, and I knew had I backed a second ghost just for the figures, and then to have to pay to ship, just the ship to somebody by itself, like it just wasn't gonna.
Were they cheaper than the Star Speeder?
It wasn't gonna work out. Yeah. Oh yeah, they were. Yeah. They were. It was. They were pricey. They were. If you look on eBay completed listings, you'll get an idea of what they're going for. But still, it was cheaper than buying another ghost and trying to sell off the ghost without the figures. Is what it worked out to. And then I think I have one more. Okay, one more thing. So I did build my final lightsaber theme at Disney, and that is, it's right over here. I have it on their base. That is the elemental nature theme. I had already built the peace and justice, the protection and defense, and the whatever the other theme is. But this was the last one that I had not done, was this theme here, elemental nature. And it looks a little bit like Rey's lightsaber. And yeah, it's kind of a more naturalistic sort of thing. And it's pretty cool. The pieces are, oops, the pieces are nice. I really like the emitter, how it's kind of got like the little grill sort of thing going on. And just really quick, like after I built it, I was not happy with the piece I put here. So I walked back over there and I asked them if I could switch the piece. And they were so nice. They let me switch the piece to one I liked a little bit better, because it was really rushed when you're in there building lightsaber. But yeah, so I think it's a pretty neat design. It wasn't my first choice. That's why it's the last one I needed to build. But it is built nonetheless.
I did see a press release today. They just announced 14 new themes.
Don't tell me that. So I have the blade, stick the blade in. It's actually really loud for some reason.
Is that the largest size? Like that seems like a really wide hilt.
Oh yeah. I mean, no, they're all about the same size, but yeah, all of these buildable lightsabers are huge. The chassis that they use in these things are just really big, so the pieces are really big. But yeah, hopefully that's one thing they work on, is making them a little smaller whenever they do the next iteration of them. But yeah, those are my acquisitions. So I've been busy. I did have a few hot toys for him, but I don't want to deal with that right now.
That's next week.
That's going to be next week. The only one that I will show, just really quickly. I'm going to go back to my Instagram here, because I did post pictures of it on Instagram earlier this week, and that is the Artisan Joker. And this is a fantastic figure. Like, honestly, it's probably a top 5 for me that from the collection. It's just really, really well done. This is the first Artisan I've got, other than, I mean, I know some people count the Wonder Woman from a couple years ago as an Artisan. But she's really nice. I have her too, but this one is really, really, really incredible. They did a really good job on him. Just the tailoring is outstanding. The base is really nice. It's got a light up base, but unfortunately you got to plug it in. So in the DTOF, it's kind of hard the way that I have it set up. So I just have him like standing in there on top of the base without it plugged in, but they did a really nice job with him. Like, he's just every detail, every aspect of it is just really nice. The hairs, I was worried about the hair because it has like the wool implantation hair, but it's actually really nice. They did a good job. He just looks incredible.
He has Anakin's Mustafar hair.
I know, right? And then yeah, so I have him in there with the other Dark Knight trilogy characters.
Is that the
Those are
re-release of Catwoman?
those are all of them in there. Those are all re-release.
All the 2.0s?
All the 2.0s, yeah. But yeah, I do want to call out the acquisitions here in the chat. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit to see what everyone got. So it looks like okay, first Charlie the Unicorn, Hot Toys Darth Revan, Hot Toys Lord Starkiller, limited edition Hot Toys Iron Patriot, and Sideshow's not done yet sending me stuff. Hot Toys due back inbound as well. Wow. That is quite a loot there, Charlie. William says that he got the Ghost. So that is neat. Jedi Greedo. Jedi Greedo found the latest wave of Hot Wheels Starship Selects, the Y-Wing, and AOTC Jedi Starfighter, which are fantastic.
Oh, I forgot about the dewback that I got secondhand.
Oh, did you get one of those secondhand?
Yeah. I hadn't gotten its original release.
Nice. And let's see here. After that, William got the Ghost as well. Adam got best news is that my Ghost will arrive Monday, but for TVC, I got the Return of the Jedi AT-ST. For Black Series, I got A New Hope, Luke and Leia, and Vernestra and Basil. From Hot Toys, I got the Sky Trooper, Book of Boba Fett, and Clone Wars Sidious. Clone Wars Sidious is tight. I that is one that I recently got. He's awesome. David got the Ghost as well. I love it. Let's see. Dodgson says the day after your last shower on December 20th, I went over to Swap Meet and I got a good haul. So he's going to type out a separate thing. Mechanized got the TVC Hallway playset, Jedi Master Soul, May, Ahsoka, Peridia, and then the new Thrawn figure. Cool. Charlie got the Bad Batch 5 Hot Toys, or has the 5 Hot Toys here. I think that's from when we were talking about those earlier. Allison got displaying a bunch of vintage items and Hot Toy Sideshow. I will be getting stuff to create the shelving, weather permitting, this weekend. Very nice. You'll have to post pictures of those, Allison. Mary got the HasLab Ghost. TVC 2 Lukes, 1 Anakin, and 3 Lieutenants. I love the quotation marks. Hot Toys Dark Knight DX Joker, Bad Batch Tech, Artisan Jack Sparrow, Mars Toy 66 Riddler 2-pack. That Riddler 2-pack looks great, and I'm jealous of your Artisan Jack Sparrow because I missed that one. I ended up ordering just the deluxe version, but I really wanted the Artisan one, so I'm really bummed out about that one. Charlie also has Jack Sparrow coming. That is awesome. And I'm even more jealous. Okay, here's Dodgson's haul. Seal Jurassic Park 3 stickers, Jurassic Park Series 1 Raptor and Dilophosaurus, 2004 Baby T-Rex with Billy, JP T-Rex Turner variant, Chaos Effect Tyrannops, Rolling Teambo, JP3 Camo Extreme Raptor Hatchling, 2004 Pteranodon. All for $21. Wow. Dodson, that is an excellent haul. That is a very, very excellent haul. Oh no, it's $20, he says. It's $20. Okay. So good job there. Yeah, I think we got everybody. So I think those are all the acquisitions. Thank you to everybody who shared your acquisitions. I think this may be on record as the longest episode I've done, longest stream. I don't know how I was able to sit still for so long, but somehow I managed. But I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel a little bit sore. I need to get up and move around a little bit. But you guys, thanks. This was a great way to come back to Cantina Social Hour, brand new 2025. And to do this show for the first time in a month. So thank you, Ken. Thank you, Rick, for coming on. We really appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun talking, and we'll have to do it again.
It's most definitely an absolute joy, as always. Can I plug something real quick?
Go for it.
And this is a follow-up because you, a few years back, had a really good conversation with her that everyone, I hope, has already checked out. And certainly if they're watching this, I would assume they should have already done so. But I had a Force 5 episode that took a while to put together. That I was very, very happy to have Emily Cantaloupe on as a guest right before the holidays. That kind of got lost in the wash of the holidays stuff that dropped before then. So it was a wonderful conversation about the top 5 Star Wars items in her collection, and just a conversation about collecting in general. And she's wonderful, and I hope that people check it out if they have the chance. I think they'll enjoy it, and hearing a little more about her journey and her collection.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched it yet, I'll be honest, but it is on my saved to watch, so I'll definitely be doing that.
You've been very busy.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely do that, and I'll share it on my on my story too, because that is it's always it's great to talk to her for sure. But yeah, Ken, so I have your info linked down in the description, your YouTube and your Instagram, but can you let everyone know where they can go to look you up?
The best place right now is probably Blue Sky, is where I'm most active. Probably trying to phase down. Instagram would be the next one after that. Nothing really beyond that besides the YouTube channel, which there's a lot more stuff coming, and the Patreon. I'm going to be posting a lot of the archive interviews that I've done over the past 25 years with a lot of people that big long form interviews from my archives that I'll be posting up there. So that would be swell even if people don't want to support, they'll be publicly available on the Patreon. But it'd be nice if people did, because we all need to support each other in these times, because it's weird.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Rick, you are also linked down below in the description. I got your Instagram link, but can you let our audience know where they can go to look you up?
Yeah, Instagram is really the only place right now that I'm active and on every day. So Shatrdglassjazz on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, you guys, thanks again so much for coming on. Everybody that's been tuning in, thank you very much for being here. Some of you have been here the entire time somehow. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Because they love your show.
I'm very appreciative. There's some really awesome people here, and that have become
friends. At the top.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. But no, everybody in here is great. Thanks, everybody. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight, and for your comments, and for showing up for our first episode of the year. And I do expect it'll be a good year of VC content and videos and streams and all sorts of stuff. And like I said, brand new video coming this week, showcasing the hot toys. I do want to announce another video that's coming soon. While I was in Texas and managing the flu and everything going on, I actually conducted a paranormal investigation of a 100-year-old department store. And I got some interesting bits of evidence. I took all my equipment with me, and I did get a couple interesting things so I will be compiling a video. It's one of those videos like that's just so, it's going to take so long to finish it. So I'm just letting you guys know now. It's going to be a while till it's ready. I don't want to commit to a date or anything, but there's a lot of audio to go through, a lot of video to go through, hours of stuff. So
they can listen to your music album in the interim, right?
Yeah, you guys can listen to Sounds of the Cantina. I was going to go the whole show without mentioning it, but now that you mentioned it, Ken, I got to mention.
I'm not going to let it happen.
Sounds of the Cantina is available anywhere you enjoy your music. Thanks to those of you who have listened to it and streamed it and bought it and whatnot. Really appreciate it. But yeah, everybody else, thank you for being here tonight. We love you and appreciate you. Positive vibes. Keep your heads up. Times can be tough, but onward. We got each other, and onward. Thank you guys very much. Ken and Rick, hang tight for just a second. Everyone else, thank you again. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your evening. Be safe, be well. May the force be with you, no matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy. Thank you for watching Cantina Social Hour. We will see you next week with Brother Cousins. Thanks again to Brother Cousins and to Mary for the super chats. That's really sweet. We appreciate that very much. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you very much.